everybody, and welcome back to the weekly Steelchair for a double header show that hopefully will give some clarity on what happened the past 2 days. But before we do, please do like, share and subscribe to the weekly Steelchair. And also, just for everybody's mindset, remember the true meaning of what this channel represents. Good wrestling content, fun engagement with our audience, and also we all unanimously hate Hulk Hogan. Now the preliminaries are out of the way, welcome to your double review show. We're going to review Thursday's TNA Impact, we're going to review last night's Smackdown, we're going to answer some questions you guys might have, and also we're going to tell you what else is coming up on the channel. But before we do, I'd like to just show you at the very start again just what tonight's thumbnail is, and I hope that you guys like it. I, for one, think it's really cool. I spent a little bit of time making it, but here it is on screen. 3, 2, now. It's certainly an echelon that we're going to get a lot through tonight. It is a double show. If you would like to appear to discuss it, let me know. You're more than welcome in the chat. We're going to get through it. So you've got 4 hours and 35 minutes worth of wrestling content to review. But we're not going to take a 4-hour show, don't worry. I do have some announcements for Twitch as well, so that's going to be discussed very shortly. There's so much that we need to do, but I want to just make that perfectly clear about what is coming and going on the channel. So all I ask is that if you are watching, if you have got any recommendations for stuff you'd like to see, drop it in the chat. If you have anything you'd like for me to do, then drop it in the chat. But one thing is for sure, it's an element of strength that we've got tonight. So don't fret, don't worry. Your voice is just as important as mine. Your views are just as important as mine. The only thing that I will not stand for is bullshit and lies. Bullshit and lies are the only thing that's not going to be associated regardless. I will not disrespect my audience. I will not give them the wrong review. You're getting the right review. You're getting a fun review, but you're also getting an honest review. Matthew in the chat, nice to see you, my friend. Let me see if my voice is any better when you get to Smackdown. I have the shows tonight, so it might be iffy on this one. That's fine. That's fine. I know you've got your Battle in the Valley watch along tonight, so best of luck with that. I can already tell you for a start, you're already going to enjoy some of it tonight. You've got the 8-woman elimination match tonight. You've got the special match for Zack Sabre Jr. all on this card. Trust me, tonight's going to be an absolute breeze for you. You'll love tonight. It's 2 nights and it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start straight away with TNA, and I just want to make it very abundantly clear. It's not going to be overly biased just because I love the organization. There are some things on this show that 100% I am not a fan of, and there's some things that actually are great for the organization if they continue it. This is huge. From my perspective, this is actually a very telling point of where we're at. So, TNA Impact last night, well, not last night, Thursday night, it started with a 6-person tag. The System up against Jonathan Gresham, up against Steve Macklin and Eric Young. This was not particularly long. Like I said, their TV, when you watch on the app, it's 2.5, it's less than 2 hours. The episodes are 1 hour 35 because obviously they removed the long extended breaks. Thank fuck for all of us, because no one likes an ad break. So you get into the content efficiently, effectively, and you get more of the fun. The little breaks obviously are like little promo videos or just hyping up any shows that are to come, because that's what those should be for. They shouldn't be for anything else. But we get a lot. I'm just putting my phone up here because it's out the way. Okay, so we get the 6-person tag, and already we come into the first problem. Problem that is consistently, the system has got members that need to be packed up. Now, the faction last year was very strong. The faction last year fit really well. The problem is they kept adding and adding and adding. This year it should be change of the guard. Now, there's a match later on in the show that actually represents what I mean by this. So first of all, the system get the win on the babyfaces, Macklin, Eric Young, and Jonathan Gresham. Jonathan Gresham takes the pin from the system. It's a double slam that they do. It's like a windmill position, and it's a drop on that. Already, I'm replacing these members. It actually makes the system refreshing and it improves it. Now, who am I kicking out? I'm kicking out the man who likes to be on episode 1000s of every single show, Brian Myers. And I'm kicking out the man formerly known as Fandango, Dirty Dango. I'm kicking him out of this faction too. The reason being is you've got two members of the roster that actually stand in really well in this faction. So Moose makes sense, and so does Mr. TNA. Well, claims to be Mr. TNA himself, but Eddie Edwards with his wife Alicia Edwards makes sense to this faction. They get on really well. I think it's not that Brian Myers is a bad wrestler or he's bad on the mic. It's time to just freshen up. And what I saw last night was where TNA should have went a long time ago. Now, I love TNA, but I still have to be honest. They've got a lot of good young talent on this show and in this roster. It's time that they put them into the main scene. So I am hoping TNA Creative, they're not going to listen to this, but if this makes it to TNA Creative, I would like for Brian Myers and Dirty Dango to be replaced, and I would replace them with the Good Hands. They're a much better tag team. They actually work better in a group, and they're young enough that you can get a good 3, 4, 5 years out of them depending on their contracts. I would give them long-term contracts and I would put them into the faction and I would run with it. I think the Good Hands are incredibly underrated. They work very good matches. If you haven't have a chance, go back and watch the Good Hands versus the Rascals. Again, another great team. I'll be coming up with the Rascals very soon because I've got a hot take on them. For me, the Good Hands should replace Brian Myers and Dirty Dango in the system, and I would build it that way. I would also change up the faction's focus. So this is what's key for me. Macklin and Eric Young obviously will now challenge First Class next week, as confirmed in a promo segment. They'll face each other next week, and basically just because it's building up their tag team scene, I'm fine with that. But Macklin should be a main event singles talent. I don't think he should be in tag teams, but at least if it's going to be with Eric Young, at least it's reliable. It's a veteran with a younger version of himself in a good, reliable team. Whereas you've got First Class, again, I'm still iffy on them, but if they work together, they work together. At least you're trying to improve your tag team scene. That's all that matters. What's up, Catherine? How are you? Hope you're doing well. It's nice to see you again, as always. You're ever present, and I appreciate it incredibly. We have another couple of matches on the show to review. We also have to discuss a few segments as well that are very important. So, again, opening match. Heels get the win, but it's a good match, but it's already the first problem. And I have an immediate solution. It's you replace two of them and you put in a legitimate tag team. Because one thing that's actually missing is Eddie Edwards was a tag team specialist. Like, he was. But ever since he moved into a singles, when he went solo a few years ago, well, a few years back, he went solo. He won everything that there was to win in TNA. I think he needs to go back to being a solo star within the system, and you need to move things around now. If Moose is going to be the X Division champion, then put Eddie Edwards in the main event scene. That's my take on it. If Moose is going to be the X Division champion, then you have to put Eddie Edwards in the main title scene. Otherwise, you put the X Division title back on Edwards and you put Moose back in the main event scene. Have you heard anything about TNA having trouble paying their talent? There were some issues. That's correct, but that was only at the end of the year because that was talent that were on their way out. They were wanting bigger contracts, like talent that were looking to get out, but they were only wanting to stay if they got paid a higher deal by Anthem. The only talents that actually stuck around, like extension-wise, they've agreed on a good extension is the likes of Nick Nemeth, his brother Ryan. As far as I'm aware, there's been extensions to like Casey Navarro, Lee Ying, Zaya Brookside. Like, they've all done XYZ, but that's because they're not looking to sponge out the company. They're just looking for a deal that makes sense to them, and it works. So there were some talent that were absolutely trying to get more than what they actually deserve. And it's not saying that they don't, it's that they're over the odds. There was a lot of talent that were getting contracts that were really taken away from what TNA should be doing. Like, this is a big year for them. They're going to be doing bigger venues, so they're going to make more money from the gates. The more money they make from these gates, they should then renegotiate contracts. There's talent in the organization, for example, I'd be given long-term extensions to. So I would be renegotiating with Josh Alexander, renegotiate with Leon Slater, renegotiate with Macklin. Women's side, there's a few talents in there that I would absolutely renegotiate with, like Rosemary, Masha Slamovich. Get them on longer deals, much better deals, and show their worth. Zaya Brookside, I would start removing some talent as well. Now, again, there's annoying sets of the TNA fan base that like her, but I would absolutely terminate the contract of Dana Brooke. I'm sorry, but she doesn't bring anything to pro wrestling. I don't like the fact that she's getting a tag title shot at Genesis. Like, you're bringing a pay-per-view back that's not been seen for years, and you want to put her as a marquee women's knockouts tag team title match contender. I'm sorry, but no, it's a slap in the face to me, personally, as a long-term TNA fan. I think you really need to get your agendas sorted. I think there's talents in there that are worth building the organization around. She ain't one of them. It's camaraderie that's so important. I think she is going to go, and it's a big hole to fill, and that's Jordynne Grace. I think TNA might try and keep her, but the problem is, what more can you actually do? And this is not a slap in the face of Jordynne Grace. This is not a slap in the face of TNA's creative or TNA's ownership. But Jordynne Grace has set records last year with her title run. She's won the championship 3 times. What exactly can you do to keep her that hasn't been done already? Like, I obviously hated the likes of Mickie James, Deonna Purrazzo all left, but they've went on to bigger and better things within themselves. Like, they're making more money. They're doing other things. Who am I to deny them? But it's intriguing, and yeah, I figured out that's why they brought in Tessa to fill the hole. The thing is, though, is Tessa Blanchard isn't actually officially signed to TNA. This is what people are getting misled on. She's still actually contractually obliged to CMLL. She's just coming in on a dual basis, but she's not actually officially signed. Now, Now, I put a comment on TNA's official post yesterday about Tessa Blanchard versus Jordan Grace as at Genesis, and I think it's going to be a good match. Regardless of what I think of the people in general, it's going to be a good match. And I get a comment saying I support racism. I don't support racism. Like, there's plenty of wrestlers that have done absolutely shitty things, but I don't support them as people. I want to actually just see TNA have good storylines, good matches, and I want to have a good year. I don't condone people's behaviour. So if you think that I support racism, you need to get your head out of your fucking stupid arses. I will never condone that shit. Like, I don't get that narrative. I've not responded to the person in general because, again, they've made a recent account. It looks like they're a drone. They're just trying to get attention, and I'm not going to give them it. I'm not giving them it. I'm eager to see what they do, however, with this match. Tessa Blanchard is an asshole, but she's a good worker. Jordan Grace, it wasn't the Jordan Grace, obviously, that I first saw. Obviously, like, when she first came in, she was, well, put this way, she wasn't heavy on the bodybuilding. She was more of just that athlete that you can enjoy and watch, and obviously she has changed. She's changed dramatically, and that's fine. But they're still going to have a good match, and the one thing is, though, I'm eager to see how they do it. Like, if Jordan puts her over, is it going to be a clean win, or is it going to be a screwy finish? I'm eager to see what they do. Like, I'm eager to see what they do. Genesis is a big event for TNA in a variety of ways. I don't think so either, but if he claims that he is all TNA, he'll try his hardest to try and negotiate a strong deal. He will try. I mean, look at the crowds that they've been doing since last summer. The crowds they've been pulling since last summer, their big pay-per-views, comes from their hard work, and that's all the way across. I think they deserve the opportunity. I hope he stays, but I would like him to do one thing. If he stays, I would like him to still have in his contract that he can go and still work with other promotions, but he does it in a way that he can appear and it will not damage his reputation, it won't damage a company reputation. So not like an excursion, but like similar to what Takeshita's doing. Takeshita's signed to DDT, he's signed to AEW, and he's signed to New Japan. I would like that with Josh Alexander, where he could be signed to those promotions, but he's still mainly a TNA talent. He's representing them in that way by going there and taking on the best they have. It's not going to happen, but it's something I would like, because he is a top 5 professional wrestler in the world, if not top 3. And if anyone thinks he's not, pull your head out of your ass. I'm begging you, pull your head out. He is incredible. He's got one of the best tanks in the business. He's got one of the best ways of working, and he's also got one of the most original looks. He's probably going to. It's come out as well that Speedball might not be going to AEW. He's apparently going to Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. So that says something. Choice is important. There was one championship. There was one knockouts match on the TNA card. Savannah Evans versus Lei Ying. This wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. But it represents that TNA need to start looking at more younger talent, and they need to start looking at not overly young, but like young but established. So I think they need to start thinking about who else they can bring in that they can improve the roster, maybe try and establish a stronger core, because they keep losing talent that doesn't help them. Now, I think Savannah Evans is a powerhouse. It gives me a little bit of Awesome Kong vibes when she first joined. You know, she has that strong physical presence. She absolutely tore into Lei Ying. Obviously, Lei Ying got some very good moves in between. There's a Obviously, she hits the Thunderstruck for the win, which is similar to Kofi Kingston's Trouble in Paradise spinning leap kick that he does. But there's a move that Savannah Evans does where she goes, she gets Li Ying into a Tijuana bomb position, which is similar to what Raquel Rodriguez does, but she does it a sit-out choke power bomb. It's only a 2 count, but it's actually a very good delivery of what Savannah can do ever since she split from Giselle Shaw, etc. And I've really impressed it. It highlights for me that TNA need to do more with other talents like Tasha Steelz. They need to get more on her. They need to get more on Masha on TV. Even though she's the champion, she needs to get more of her work in there. They're missing talents like Killer Kelly. They're missing the presence of... They're missing Giselle. I think they're missing a marquee name besides Jordan Grace. I think TNA need to get more marquee names in there. If they can do it, great. But it needs to be on more than a short-term basis. They need long-term rosters. If they can do it, great. I'm hoping so. Because the process of what they need to do this year is huge. And off topic, but I'm random, love it. That New Japan fan club is something I like for all the promotions. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree. Tasha Steelz could be the face of the division. Yes, she could. Tasha Steelz is an amazing women's professional wrestler. She's gutsy, she's got a swagger to her, she works well with any opponent. She's quite diverse how she works. And honestly, she's got a mouth on her. Like, she can sell anyone really well with her promo skills. She's very, very good. It reminds me of when Gail Kim returned to the organization after she did her second run in WWE, when she returned as a heel. She came back and she just ran through everyone, but obviously that was a mixture of bigger and smaller opponents. She could talk the talk, but she could walk the walk, and that's what I like about her. Like, Tasha Steelz gives me that vibe, and I think they should absolutely build on that. If they don't, then they're a bit clueless. She's not going to get the main event Knockouts Championship match. Obviously, Genesis, that's gone to Rosemary, but I love the stipulation that they've picked, by the way. It's one that's not been seen in many years, but I absolutely adore it. It's a Clockwork House of Orange rules match, and it was given to her last week as a suggestion by Raven. And if you know me, you know how much I love Raven. His creative ability was the best in ECW, and sadly, because he's an absolute goofball, Eric Bischoff nearly ruined him forever. Thank fuck he didn't. Luckily, because TNA saved Raven when he went there. I absolutely enjoyed it. We did get a very fast backstage segment by Jordan Grace as well, with Gia Miller. Jordan Grace was supposed to just have an interview. Like, she was supposed to have a long-winded interview. She didn't. She was short and sweet. She challenged Tessa Blanchard to come to the ring because she wanted to beat her head in. I like that. That's intense. That's a positive for TNA, that you're actually doing more intense segments. More of them, please. So after a mixed start, that's a big positive. I'm hoping that happens. If not, we'll see. But we're figuring out. Oh yeah, it's notorious in TNA. Like, you can, if you get the TNA Plus app, you can actually rewatch the Clockwork House of Orange rules matches that Raven used to have in NWA TNA days. Like, you can still watch them. Like, honest to God, what a creation. What a creation. I'm always grateful for it. Up next, it's the biggest positive of the show. Well, one of the two biggest positives. You have the Northern Armory Gauntlet match. Mike Santana versus Judas Icarus versus Travis Williams and Josh Alexander in a gauntlet match. Now, why was this the biggest positive? because it fully established Mike Santana as the next TNA World Champion. Let me say that again. It fully established Mike Santana as the next TNA World Champion. Now, Nick Nemeth has agreed on an extension with TNA. It hasn't been disclosed how long. Therefore, I think Nemeth should retain a Genesis. Now, people are going to say, why on earth again would you have Nemeth retain over Joe Hendry? It's very simple. It is very simple. Joe Hendry, to an extent, is over with the crowd. He is over with the TNA fan base. That's not a problem. Like, that's okay. He is over. But the most important thing is that he is. He wants to go there. Now, the one thing is an absolute truth, though. Joe Hendry loves TNA. He does want to go to WWE, however. He's always been honest about that. He wants to go there. He wants to test himself. And I don't care. I said it the other night about Malachi Black. If he goes back to WWE, it doesn't matter where talent goes. I wish them well, and it makes sense for them. If he goes there, then great. No problem. But for me, this year, the TNA World title should only be held by 3 men. Nick Nemeth, the current champion. Kazarian, who has the Call Your Shot winner that he won. And Mike Santana. Now, for me personally, Mike Santana should win the belt from Nemeth, and then Kazarian should cash in his college shot winner's title shot, and he should steal the title from Santana. Then you get the rematch. Kazarian doesn't need a long title run, but he deserves to be given one for all he's done for TNA. Anyone who disagrees with that doesn't understand. Josh Alexander, if he does stay with the company, then absolutely put the title on him as well. If he stays. If he doesn't, then he should still do the business at Genesis. Now, this match was, in terms of timing, it was, for a gauntlet, it wasn't overly fast, but it wasn't long either. It was actually a good paced match for 3 opponents for Santana. And also, I want to get people's opinion on this as well, because I don't know if you guys have seen the match that he has between all 3, but first of all, he pins Judas Icarus with the spin the block, spinning lariat clothesline that he does. And I like these two because they're another young tag team that should be extended, and you build around them as well. But they go for about 4 minutes. Santana and Icarus go for 4 minutes. Travis Williams gets about 5, 6 to 7 minutes. Between 5 and 7 minutes he gets with Santana as well. But Santana beats him with a very unique move, and I actually think now Santana needs to make this his finish. So he does the alley-oop face buster, similar to what Jeff Hardy does when he does the powerbomb position up and then back down. But after he hits after he does the face buster side of it, he rolls back over, maintains a grip of Travis Williams, and then he does a Liger bomb. I like the spin the block but I actually think he should use that alley-oop facebuster into the Liger Bomb as his new finish. It's double the damage, it's double the intensity, and I actually think it actually looks better. Let me know what you guys think of that, if you think that works or not, but I actually like the aesthetic, and I actually think it would further establish Santana as a main event title contender to a future world champion. A lot of people don't particularly rate him, they prefer Ortiz. I think Santana was better out of him and Ortiz. I think he was by far the better talent. I think he's got more to him. You can see that he does work really well as a tag team, but he is so much better in the singles route. And I absolutely adore his commitment to improving himself and he's betting on himself. That's, for me, that's the elements of someone who really gives a shit about their profession and their work. But let me know what you think of that, guys. If you do, check it out. It is literally a alley-oop facebuster, rolls over into a Liger Bomb, and it is sick. It is so damn cool. I really do like it. Josh Alexander does come out, by the way, and the match is thrown out as a disqualification win for Santana, because obviously Williams and Icarus are still at ringside. They come back in, they attack Santana, and then Santana takes the C4 spike in the middle of the ring, and Santana, obviously, because at Final Resolution he stole the headgear that Alexander wears. Alexander reclaims it and he stands over Santana. After this, it's confirmed for Genesis Santana versus Josh Alexander one-on-one. I hope for a pay-per-view that goes 20 minutes. At least 20 minutes. When you look at what's on the card, I would say 15 to 20 minutes is more than enough for these two, because this is the initiation that Santana needs. He's already had good matches with Macklin last year, and he had the match with Moose as well on pay-per-view. He's now up against Josh Alexander one-on-one, and a heel Alexander. Please give him that match the time it deserves. It's all I'm asking for. It's all I'm asking for. Especially when you're going to be in front of 8,500 people. Unfortunately, up next, I skipped this, by the way, because we all deserve better. Up next is a segment by the concierge who represents Heather and Ash by Elegance. Give me strength. Confirming that there's going to be a premature title celebration for them winning the knockout tag titles in Genesis against Spitfire. Danny Luna, of course, one half of the tag team, is just incredible. And I'm sorry, but Anthem, just get rid of Ash by Elegance. Send her back to WWE. Send her back. Or send her to OVW. She's got no right being a TNA knockout. She's absolute gash. She insults me. As a TNA fan, Ash by Elegance fucking insults me. We get a very good video package next. Rosemary just talking about her Clockwork House of Orange rules match at Genesis versus Masha. This is produced really well. It's Masha sitting beside the production, like production boxes that they carry your gear in, and it's just her constantly saying her name, but it's also like what she's going to do to her Genesis, and it's all about her getting inside Masha's head. I like this. It was almost like it was I'm trying to think of like who's the best way to. It was like all those video It was like the videos that used to happen when Taker used to stalk Randy Orton in 2005, when he kept saying his name and he kept appearing and he kept trying to spook him out, causing him to panic. It's kind of like what Rosemary's doing. She's trying to make Masha panic. Obviously, Masha's a psycho, so it's not really going to work. But an early shot at being a top women's match of the year next week. Well, I should say a week on Friday, a week on Sunday, the 19th. Week on Sunday, the 19th of January, we have this match. I'm eager to see what they do. Is it going to be a match of the year contender? Probably not, but it's certainly got a good chance of being a good to great match if they give it time and they allow these two to work. Because Rosemary is not a bad worker, and neither is Masha. We're going to see how it goes. And also, Raven is obviously in this package video. He does suggest the match, and that's where it's made official. Up next is exactly why I said at the very start about the Good Hands. The Good Hands versus the Rascals, and I said I've got to take the Rascals have got to turn heel against the Hardys. At Genesis, the Hardys need to lose, not because they're finished, but because the Rascals have got to win. They've got to turn heel. It's time that they get a fresh up as in the tag team scene. Give them new long-term contracts, put the titles back on them, and give them a fucking long run. Give them like 6 to 9 months with these belts, because they're a great team. They're a young, dynamic, heavy-hitting team that represent what TNA is all about. Young, alternative way of pro wrestling. If you can't give them that, then what's the point in keeping them? Because they deserve this. It's the same with Chris Bay if he ever returns. When he returns with Ace Austin, could we see them potentially turn heel at some point as well? Perhaps. We've got some new teams in the division, but you need to maintain your young staples and you need to continue building around them. So the Good Hands especially, put them in the system. Put the Good Hands in the system and let them run with it. They would work really well with Eddie Edwards and Moose. Kick out Dirty Dango, kick out Brian Myers, and make it feel like a faction worth watching. Because they were going stale at the end of the year when they added in Dango. What's up, Fletch? How are you, my man? Hope you're doing well. Obviously, we get the Feed 'em to the Lions finish, which is essentially a diving tag finish from the Rascals, but it's cemented in for a long time. It's a good match. It's about 9 minutes, and it's exactly what you wanted. It was good pacing. It was 4 young talents working hard, and they fit the bill. They fit the bill really well. So please do it. TNA, if you're smart, give them what they need. My only negative about this match is I would have had less of the. It's not because they're overly high flying, but I like when Trey Miguel works groundwork and technical style. We didn't get enough of him, especially with the Good Hands. Like, the Good Hands are a good tag team in that way. It would have been nice to have seen them try to lock up a bit more and work a bit more technical, but that's a negative. But we run that, but we do get Frankie Kazarian backstage prep up on. He's talking to Rhino, who's in the main event, but well, Kazarian just loves to be the heel, the king of TNA, as he's called himself. He just loves to take the piss out of it. Not yet. We're doing it in order. So after I finish reviewing TNA, we're going to be reviewing Smackdown. So that's going to be fun. And Matthew's going to hopefully be joining us too. Up next, controversially, is where the IWC again proved themselves to be stupid. We get a promo from Ace Austin. We got a promo from Moose talking about Ace Austin for their X Division title match at Genesis. Moose is absolutely lambasting him. He declares himself the greatest X Division champion, because that's what he does. Every heel's got to declare themselves the best. Sorry, mate, but you're not better than Sabin. You're not better than Styles. But what he's actually doing is reminding me of when Abyss won the title. And he was literally, as the big powerhouse, he was just steamrolling through the division, eliminating everybody as he goes. And he was taking any opportunity he can just to weaken the division bit by bit. He throws the title outside. This is where people really got confused, because they were declaring, oh, he's just going to get rid of the X Division as a whole. No, he's not. He says he's bringing a new championship belt to the pay-per-view. And people were getting so bloody heated about it. I was like, well, he says he's the face of the franchise. If he wants to have a title belt that he thinks fits him, then fucking great. It might end up changing the concept of the championship. It might actually change the course of the division when he faces Ace Austin at Genesis. Ace Austin is a brilliant wrestler. Moose is actually putting Ace Austin over by declaring this new title belt isn't worthy of him, but it's also not worthy of the division. If Ace Austin wants to win, he needs to win something that makes sense. But the IWC moaned because Moose threw the title down, saying, oh, he's going to get rid of the X Division. That's not what he said. He said he's getting rid of the title belt that he should never have had to carry. He wanted to carry something that makes more relevance to him as the champion. It's fucking ridiculous, and it's people moaning as per usual because their favourites aren't getting what they want. Suck an egg. People don't pay attention. Exactly. Fucking morons. We do get an impromptu title match, however, and I please recommend watching this because it further encapsulates what I meant by the Abyss X Division Championship run. Andrew Everett comes out, impromptu declares himself for the past 3 years he is the X Division of what it was, and he challenges Moose for a match down the line. Instead, we get an impromptu in street clothes. Moose beats the living piss out of him. We get a choke slam on the apron, we get a power bomb on the apron, and then to finish up, we get a jackknife power bomb from Moose with a standing pinfall cover. He stands 1 foot over Everett, completely mauls him, and I'm going to say this now, that's excellent. That's what a champion should be. If you're going to destroy the division, you cannot be having a short TV match. The pay-per-view is different. This is where I'm going to be a little bit hypocritical, saying I want longer matches. But if you're going to book this guy to be a monster, and you're going to book him to say, well, the division doesn't matter to me because it's not my vision for the division, funnily enough, you need to smash through it. So of course, an impromptu match, you destroy him. It was excellent, and props to TNA's creative for doing that. That's a good positive for that. My only thing though is, please don't do it Genesis though. Do it next week though. Like, have another impromptu similar match, but have Ace Austin actually come out to the ring this time instead of just watching backstage. Please let him stand, even if he comes out after the match is over and he just stands on the entrance ramp and he's just staring down the champion. I would be okay with that. Whoever it's going to be though, I don't know, but we can certainly see. It was a good positive, so I was very, very happy with that. We also have, up next, we have a segment between Santino Marella and Sami Callihan. Sami Callihan is told that next week on Impact, the go-home show for Genesis, I'm only kidding, it's not. We've got 2 weeks. Next week on Impact, we have PCO and Sami Callihan in tag team action versus the Hardys. If they defeat the Hardys non-title match, they will then be added to the tag team title match at Genesis, which features the Hardys versus the Rascals, and it'll become a triple threat. If it becomes a triple threat, then also you could have the Hardys not beat the pin, but you could have the Rascals pin Callihan and PCO. PCO is over with the crowd. The Rascals could turn heel with them, or they could screw those two out of the match, turning heel as well in the process. We never know, but we'll certainly see. Finally, to the ring, your preliminary segment before the main event match. Jordynne Grace finally comes out to the ring. Intense heated promo on Tessa, calling her out, saying if she wants to take over the division, she needs to go through her. She's calling her out. Out comes Tessa Blanchard. A brawl ensnares. Security comes out and they beat the hell out of security. The match, obviously, as we expected, is then announced for Genesis. Tessa Blanchard versus Jordynne Grace. This is not a title match anyway, because we know that, because neither one of them is a champion. But this match can't be short either. There's 3 women's matches announced for Genesis. They're all going to be on the main card. The women's title match, obviously, the Knockouts women's title match, obviously should go the longest. This should still get time. This is a bloodbath match. This is going to be bloodbath, basically. You're going to be gunning for blood. I hope they make it from. I hope that they don't just make this just a regular singles match. I think you should have another brawl next week on Impact. Blanchard should attack Jordynne, or even Jordynne gets a hold of Tessa. This should be no disqualification, and I would give them 15 minutes at least. Give them that at Genesis, because you've got to have the point where if you're bringing Tessa back to TNA. If she is going to beat Jordynne, it needs to be in some form of high stakes. Otherwise, you're missing the trick. You've already got big reactions from online fans anyway. Over 1 million people watched her return to TNA. You've got to get something. Over 1 million views, I should say. She's a heat magnet. You've got to build on the heat, otherwise it's lost. Finally, main event, tag team match. Joe Hendry teaming with Rhino on his final ever match with TNA, up against the Nemeth brothers, Ryan, and world champion Nick. Joe Hendry wins the match, pinning Ryan Nemeth with standing ovation, chokeslam. Kazarian's on commentary. He is selling the match, but he's also teasing his shot. That he can go for the world title any time. Nick Nemeth again proving that this guy can sell. This guy can sell on instruction. He just gets it. His ring timing's incredible. Are you gonna get more from him? Maybe. Should he be a one-time champion? No, I think he deserves more than one run. But he also shouldn't be getting less than what he deserves. He's done really well with TNA. He's still a draw. And I am liking what I'm seeing. Are we going to get GBL return to Genesis? Who knows? We're teasing something with them too, by the looks of it. But overall, for 1 hour and 35 minutes, it was a good show. Pros, the young talent featured on the card. Getting Santana established for the main event scene despite not winning the match the way he wanted to. You're getting him and Josh Alexander one-on-one at Genesis. Good. You've established Jordynne Grace and Tessa Blanchard for Genesis. You're giving more on the heat side of it. Cons, Dangle and Myers are still part of the system. I've already gave a solution. Another negative for me, obviously, is they also went over clean. Don't need that in that opening match. Another negative as well is Ash by Elegance has announced that she's going to be getting the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team title match at Genesis, and she's going to be on next week's show. Give me strength. And lastly, another negative, I would have to say, yeah, First Class are still there, but if you're building them as a tag team, at least make sure that Casey Navarro is featured strongly. Apart from that, TNA, good show. Good show. Could be better. Could be better. But it's a good show. And they've also announced TNA Impact Live for January 27th. So that's even more fun for me. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. Now it's what everybody wants to talk about. From a variety scale. Links in the chat. Because now we're going to talk about Smackdown. Like I said, an hour and 35-minute content for TNA is fine. You can get through that in just under an hour and still give it the props, also criticize it in the right way. It was a decent show, decent to good show, which can be better in different ways. You can start making it better by getting rid of Myers and Dangle from the system, and you stick the good hands in, give all the younger talents long-term contracts, and start featuring younger talent again on your show primarily, and build it that way, because that is what an alternative is. TNA is still an alternative, by the way, whether you want to admit it or not. They're still an alternative. But now's your chance. Get your top stars signed on long-term contracts, get the young talent on long-term contracts, get rid of the folk we don't need, and then move forward. Move forward in the best way, and I figured that he would want it. He's coming. We're going to kick it off with Matthew, so I'm just going to sit back just whilst I'm waiting, and I'll see you in just a second. Don't go anywhere. I'm just going to mute. Turn off my camera until Matthew gets here, and then we're going to blast it with a change of music.
Test.
Music change. Show change. What's up, Matthew? We are here kicking off, guys. Now, the Smackdown side of it. This is likely to go longer, obviously, than the first show. But that's how it should be. An hour and 35 minutes of TNA content you can do in less than an hour. It's not a big thing. The Genesis review is going to be 2 hours. But now we really need to talk about Smackdown. And I'm just going to say this for everybody, in my opinion, before we deep it. Smackdown was slightly better than Raw. But it wasn't better in the way that people might think. I didn't watch it live last night. I rewatched it this morning so I could skip all the stupid ad breaks myself. I thought Smackdown was better because it actually felt produced better. But that's it. I felt it was better production-wise. In terms of, it was less of the shitty, we're going around the celeb views, but there were some things that really were overly repetitive. So your your opening thoughts to SmackDown, Matthew. What did you think of SmackDown before we actually review it?
From a fan perspective, I can see it. From an analytical perspective, I have.
Bless you, Catherine. You can still come join us if you want. You can still come and join us as much as you can.
Yeah,
Anyone's welcome.
From a review standing, no. There's several things I had issues with last night, and I tweeted on a lot of it.
I didn't tweet any. I would rather do it live, but there was a few things I would have done. Like, obviously not live, but when I watched back, there was a few things I would have tweeted, but I'd rather just do it here. So what issues particularly did you have from last night?
Well, one thing, pre-game take here, or pre-thought take, before we get too deep into it, have you talked about those numbers that Netflix dropped?
No, not yet.
Good.
I was going to, but I'm going to give you that honor.
Good. Have you got the article? Have you got the article or access to the article
from Netflix themselves?
Yeah, the one they dropped.
I can get it. The one where they say they reached 220 million homes or something.
No. The one where they actually dropped the numbers for the Raw review, for the Raw show.
Let me see if I can get it.
Absolutely, everybody's had their take on this thing, and they've had a take on just the numbers because the numbers popped at everybody. But everybody missed one key phrase in this whole thing, and it really, really shows.
I can potentially top you. I've actually got the Variety article.
Well, the Variety article is even worse, but yeah.
It is because it's Joe Otterson that writes it.
Well, see, here's the deal. When you get to the article, and I want to make sure somebody had the article handy, because I don't, but it's still stuck in my head. They keep referring to it as parentheses SD or parentheses +1.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, let me interpret that for you. What's their final number?
What I have here, so this has come from the Variety article, but I'm going to go and look at other sources in a second. But this article says specifically, and I quote, "It is difficult to make a direct comparison between the Netflix and USA network viewership for Raw, as linear channels measure their viewership differently than Netflix does. For the sake of some comparison, however, the final episode of Raw on USA averaged approximately 1.596 million across its 2-hour runtime, according to Nielsen Live, plus same-day data. From the beginning of October through the end of December, Raw averaged approximately 1.65 million. However, according to this article, it says for Netflix Live, it pulled in 4.9 million. That was views globally. That's according to Live +1 data provided by Netflix with a view defined as total hours.
Stop right there. Back up. That's the most important sentence in that entire article right there. According to the Live +1. Okay, so you take that number, divide it by 2, and that's how many households it appeared in live.
Yeah, 100%.
And everybody's sitting there going, 4.9 million, this is great. No, it's not.
It's 2 points. It's like 2.45.
Yeah, 2.45 actual accounts were activated live because they and somebody else who I don't mention that often, and I won't on your show, no free clout. Yeah, seriously.
You can see on here, if you want to actually rip them apart, you're more than welcome to rip them apart on my channel.
Eric Bischoff doubled down in stupidity. He took that 2.3 million number, and he said, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, most households are occupied by 3.5 people. So that number's probably closer to 6 million because they didn't watch it by themselves. Hey, dumbass. They already doubled the number, and you doubled that number. Congratulations, you're stupid in 6 metrics.
Yes.
Okay, that's just my thing out there. I was dying to say that last night, but I just didn't know how deep they were going to dive into the numbers or anything like that. But that one sentence right there tells you that they're 4.9, half that, and that's how many accounts watched it. Now, the caveat to that is one of those accounts could have been in a bar and there could have been 40 people there. And one of those accounts could have been Junior Studley in his basement. So,
Exactly. You can't truly differentiate between the two because that misconstrues numbers. That'd be like a mother and son with like 12 kids watching Netflix. That's not an additional 12 viewers. It's one additional viewer with 12 people in it's one particular account, but you can have X amount of people watching at the same time.
Right.
But that's totally misconstrued. So they need to reevaluate that.
Yeah, and the difference between that and what they call the Nielsen Lives, the Nielsen Lives are tied directly into either satellite boxes or set-top boxes. In other words, they are physically set to that box. If that box pops on and it's watching Raw, it gets counted. That's part of their Nielsen Live. That's how that works. And likewise, Netflix can only account for the accounts that popped on and went live.
Yes.
So no one else has said that. Period.
Nobody wants to either.
And nobody wants to say it. I ain't afraid to say it because I worked in the industry. I worked for Spectrum for like 12 years.
It's like this. It's like I said about this on the Raw review. Here's your full shape. There's all the holes that Eric Bischoff makes. And there's the bit where I says Eric Bischoff can go fuck himself.
Exactly. But I'm just saying that, like...
Back to hole.
Yeah, that part of it right there was driving me nuts. And I didn't say anything because I didn't want to spoil it for anybody. And that's the whole thing of that. But that's neither here nor there. My opening thoughts on SmackDown were it was better produced than Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like saying the ladies' restroom only half stinks worse than the men's restroom. So I used that one. So, with that being said, I mean, it was okay. It was okay. I had questions. Go ahead.
I would like to say another thing as well was actually quite shocking. It took 6 minutes just to get to Paul Heyman from the start of the show. It took, like, if you actually watch it back time-wise on Netflix, it's about 6 minutes 19 of the show when you finally get to Paul Heyman, and then it's 9.5 minutes when you get to Cody Rhodes' introduction.
Yeah.
Which I found the opening video package far too long.
We were on stateside here. We didn't get our first actual wrestling event until 27 minutes into the show.
Mm-hmm.
I actually looked at that. I was texting Daryl, Mr. Starks over at Covalent. I was like, it looks like when it got up to about 25 minutes, I'm like, it looks like we're not going to get any wrestling this hour. He said, yep, we're about halfway through. I mean, we were both looking at it the same way. We were like, we're not going to get wrestling on this show. Give me 1 second here so I can drop something because my wife wants to get in and I definitely, she definitely wants to watch and I definitely want her to watch too. So
absolutely.
That kind of works as well. I'm not lying. But my overall take in the beginning of it, it's much more organized even in the chaos, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, it is what it is. And I don't know. Maybe the show will get better now because they're going to have to. They don't have a choice.
It's already been confirmed by several outlets last week that towards the midway point of 2025, SmackDown is also going to drop back down to 2 hours. Yeah,
because they ain't going to make the money off of it they think they are.
And also, SmackDown as a 3-hour show doesn't make sense.
No.
I still firmly believe that all TV products should be 2 hours. I still firmly believe that. But SmackDown for more than 2 hours makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. It allows them to be it allows them to be a little bit more slap happy with the product. They don't have to be precise because they've got time to make mistakes.
True.
An extra hour gives them time to make mistakes, whereas 2 hours holds them to a solid line. They're like, well, we can't screw this up because we only got 45 minutes of the show live to work with. So, I mean, it is beyond a shadow of a doubt one of my pet peeves.
Yeah. I do agree with Catherine's comment. SmackDown doesn't have the roster to be a 3-hour show. They are looking to make SmackDown more like, I mean, if they are looking to it, they need to start doing it from next week onwards, because it seemed a bit of a hypocritical statement. They were looking to make SmackDown like it was before, where SmackDown was more orientated to the wrestling side, whereas Raw goes back to its traditional, over-the-top, long-winded promo segments. If SmackDown is going back to the wrestling side, then all the folk who can physically do the wrestling have to be on SmackDown.
Right.
Will they be, though? That's the main question, and we'll find out throughout the rest of January. We'll find out, but they have to start doing it from next week onwards. Otherwise, it makes no sense.
Right. And where I think this is going to shake up, and because people have leaked it so much, I think you're going to find out who your favorite superstar, where they actually rank in the company. And I think WWE has backed off a little bit because, at the beginning of all this stuff, they leaked that they wanted Roman Reigns on Raw, and they wanted the Bloodline on Raw, and they want this on Raw. Now, because they did that, a lot of people are looking at SmackDown as the B show.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait a minute, I've been following this guy for 2.5, 3 years. I've been buying his merch, and he wound up on SmackDown.
Yeah.
That's a marketing nightmare that I wish them the best of luck in their future endeavors with. I really do. I mean, that was a marketing twist that didn't work out really well. And the sad part of it is, all these fans of stuff are starting to figure out that that WWE doesn't give a shit about them. They really don't. They'll put their people where they want to put them, and you will either cheer or you can just go pound sand.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Exactly, and that's what we're getting. We do get, obviously, the opening segment from Paul Heyman into Cody Rhodes, but obviously it stems from the fact that Paul Heyman is now confirmed, as pretty much everyone really expected. Roman is now entering the Royal Rumble. He's now the second. Unfortunately, but it's because obviously he's built like that. He is the second marquee name to be officially declared into the Rumble itself. Obviously, Cena's the first man declared. We then get Roman Reigns confirmed. We then get Cody Rhodes, and he's now been told directly to his face that Roman's aiming to come back for his championship. God forbid, they better not make it a trilogy of Manias back to back to back. If they do this 3 years running, they are freaking clueless. That is a clueless decision, but are we going to get it? Perhaps. We also get the further reminder that obviously at the Rumble, that is Rhodes versus Owens 3. They're getting the trilogy. This is going to be a ladder match, which statistically proves that this is a feud ender. The ladder match is one of the few matches that ends feuds. We're gonna get a decisive winner at the Royal Rumble. It looks like it's going to be Cody Rhodes going over, because obviously Kevin Owens does appear. A brawl breaks out. Again, cool. Heyman's left on his own. We get a sneak attack from Ratatouille and Jacob Fatu on Heyman. Obviously, out comes Jim Uso. We get that moment, and the segment wraps up there. Cody eventually returns, as he does, fends them off, and then, well, we move on. Was there any positives to this segment for you? I mean, for me, I think the positives for me were two of them. For me, the positives was Kevin Owens' promo, and the positive was Jacob Fatu on screen again. Okay, I'm not going to pretend there was a positive here. And in other news, water's wet. I'm not going to pretend. I'm just going to be as honest as I can.
Yeah.
They
No,
were
I'm
two
trying
bosses
to.
for me.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm saying I'm trying to find something redeeming from that whole segment. I mean,
Yeah.
if you didn't know that this is how, and they think they're clever.
It's more truth serum. You know what I mean? They're trying. It feels like they're injecting truth serum again by Kevin Owens' words, and you can only have so much truth in a promo.
Right. And the other side of that, the other side of the whole thing too is if anybody, I mean, WWE has already said outright the WWE title is going to Raw. The World Heavyweight Champion is coming to SmackDown.
Massively.
So they're going to move all the WWE adjacent titles that were there before the WCW purchase. They're going to move all those to Raw. And all the ones that are in Raw are going to move to SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
So what that tells me is they have enough stock in Tiffany. She'll be going to Raw. And whoever, I guess they're going to attempt to put Rhea on SmackDown, which I think is you signed on the dotted line, so here's your consolation prize kind of thing, you know.
If Rhea goes to SmackDown, I've got a funny take. If Rhea Ripley goes to SmackDown, she'll be the biggest draw on the show.
She'll be the only draw on the show when it's all said and done, because she'll overshadow LA Knight easily. I mean, actions are better than catchphrases. People who can move in the ring are better than people who can come up with "if you smell what The Rock is cooking" and they got nothing behind it. The Rock is an anomaly because he could move and talk. You know, there aren't many who can move and talk at the level he talked at, which made him a superstar. Same thing with Cena. I'm not even putting Reigns in that because he needed a mouthpiece.
Steve Austin.
Austin was one of them. The people who could move and talk at the same time. So that's that. But as far as out of this segment right here, the only thing I got out of it is that Roman is probably, I'm saying not definitely because you got that Cena factor in there, but more than likely probably winning the Royal Rumble. We're probably getting Roman Cody 3. And Roman is probably going over on Cody, and he's probably taking that belt to Raw. That's how they're going to do it, and they think they're clever. That's the whole thing. I mean, they think they're being clever about this thing. So, but as far as enhancing the overall product, no. In fact, it probably left it hurting. And it was just one of many dumb things to come for the night.
It goes back to what I said about Kevin Owens before the first match when he attacked Cody, and when he attacked it was the Bad Blood when he attacked when he attacked Cody backstage at Bad Blood or Survivor Series. He attacked him backstage, and I said, if you don't put the title on him, you've wasted his heel turn, you've wasted his action, and it gives no redeeming quality to Cody Rhodes as well. It gives him no redeeming quality. If you're going to end up having Roman versus Cody 3 at WrestleMania this year, you've also wasted the opportunity. I'm actually hoping this year he does it. I hope that Rock just goes, fuck you, I'm pulling creative now, I'm doing it. If he just decides to pull on a swerve, he goes, no, I'm getting the match. I don't care. I don't care if anyone cries about it. Last year they had the Cody crybabies. This year, have a director actually throw his weight around. And I hope he gets involved. I hope Rock does some sort of interference at the Rumble and screws Roman. Because if he does, then at least it saves Mania. Because Roman versus Cody 3 at WrestleMania does not interest me at all.
It doesn't. But they think it does. See, that's just it. I mean, you got to remember, this is the same crew that thought dropping Hulk Hogan in the middle of a California show was a good idea.
I know. God.
So, I mean, once you've done that, once you've seen that, everything else starts making sense. Because even though, I mean, they didn't boo him for his politics. They booed him for his big, loud-ass mouth.
And
they didn't care about his politics. Yeah. Because they didn't boo The Undertaker, and The Undertaker was standing right beside Donald Trump.
Exactly.
They didn't boo him one bit. They screamed, cheered, did everything they were supposed to do for him. They booed Hulk Hogan because of his loud, racist-ass mouth, and that's basically it when it gets down to it. So
Absolutely.
they thought it was a good idea to put him in the middle of LGBT Central with his attitude and his tone. So
Is it quite
they,
ironic? I don't mean to cut you off there. Is it
yeah.
kind of ironic now that Hulk Hogan's theme song is now actually hurting him as a person for what he's done?
Mhm.
Like the one lyric from his theme song now has absolutely ruined his life because he's an absolute fool. When it comes crashing down, it hurts inside.
Mhm.
Like it's now finally an irony that one lyric has completely ruined him because of how he acted towards a specific minority of people. He absolutely deserves it, and it's beautiful to witness.
And he obviously doesn't fight for the rights of every man, just the ones he likes. So,
Exactly.
it just
It,
drips with irony the whole way out, the whole
it's,
way through
it's,
it.
it's poetic. It is
But
absolutely poetic.
the key to it is they think that was a good move, and then they seem to legitimately be shocked when everybody there booed him. They were like, "Oh, wait a minute, why are you booing Hulk Hogan? It's Hulk Hogan, man.
They want to turn him heel just to save face.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Everybody was like, "Oh no, we won't see Hulk Hogan again." I'm like, "Not so, sir. Not so. They're going to turn him heel and they're going to lean into it." They're like, "Whoa." Because like I tell everybody, if you want to tell WWE something, say nothing.
I guarantee you he'll be the Saturday night's main event.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. If you want to have your voice heard with WWE, you say nothing. You don't boo, you don't cheer, you don't even blink. You're like, oh, you stay silent. You stay silent 2 or 3 weeks in a row, they're gone.
But they're idiots. That's the problem. They won't do it.
Oh, I know. Anyway, though, back to Smith. But back to that segment real quick, closing thoughts on that. I thought that absolutely zero people won. Jacob Fatu actually got TV time. Is the only redeeming part of this. Other than that, it was just a sales pitch, just to see how the crowd was going to roll with it, and the crowd went with it. They were like, "What would happen?" And the crowd went nuts, and I'm like, "Holy shit, we're going to see this."
Yeah.
They'll pitch it. Wait a minute. The Rumble is actually a couple of weeks off now.
February 1st.
Yeah. Okay. So they'll pitch it one more time. They'll pitch it exactly one more time. I know that. That's beautiful. Pac and Commander are going to be, oh, God, it's going to be great. But anyway, they'll pitch it one more time. And if the crowd pops like that, you can go ahead and pin it down. It's going to happen. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just is what it is. And I mean, for people who don't want something to happen, just don't respond to it. But overall, segment was okay. I don't think there was a winner there. I think Cody looked weak. I think Kevin looked weak. I think everybody looked weak. And then you have Paul Heyman sitting there begging for his miserable life. And then you get these crazy saves out there. And if they were going to bring Jimmy back, put him in a foot boot or something, so they can explain why he's moving slow. They did that for Jacob Fatu. They put him in a foot boot and let him work it, just so you could explain the slowness.
And he worked brilliantly with it as
well. It worked.
It's mental.
Yeah, it worked. I don't know why they don't put Jimmy in a foot boot and call it a day. But that's my take on that.
I got a question for you. And I got a question for the chat as well. I don't mind it, but yesterday I kind of disagreed with it. What do you think of his no-selling? I personally have an issue if you're no-selling a steel chair shot to the back. Like if you're a giant, then fair enough. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if it's someone smaller than you and you hit a giant with a steel chair in the back, you know they're not going to sell it because you know it's the sheer size difference, and obviously you cannot diminish a monster like that.
Right.
But Jacob Fatu is only built 30 pounds heavier than Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso's like 230. Jacob Fatu's like 260, 265. Same as Drew McIntyre. I'm sorry, but if I'm getting hit by a steel chair, I'm not no-selling that. I might be getting angry though, but I don't think he should be no-selling that situation. I think I think they may have got. He did look good though for the rest of the segment. I just think they may have just got that a bit wrong. Would you agree or would you disagree?
I'm gonna go you one step further on that. I think Jacob Fatu did that on purpose. I think he went into business for himself right there.
He might have.
Because they are presenting him as this wackadoodle Samoan that we just grabbed out of the woods, whose only charge is to hit people and scream "I love you" solo.
It's like Haku without personality.
It's like Haku in baby tights.
Oh yeah.
It's like Haku in baby tights or something like that, in a onesie.
Yeah. It's a slap in the face.
Yeah, and eventually somebody the caliber of Jacob Fatu, because like I tell my son all the time when we're watching the matches, I said, look, there's the only wrestler in the ring right now. And he gets
eventually he's gonna snap.
Yeah, he understands what I'm saying. So I don't disagree with it if that's what his actions were, but if WWE booked him to no sell that, and then they send their little drones out to attack people every time Will Ospreay has a Hulk moment in a match, we got to hear about it for 3 weeks. But Jacob Fatu basically no sells the building falling in on him. Oh, he's a monster. No, he ain't. He's not.
I like a no sell where it fits. So if it's like a move no sell, or it's like several punches, you're getting punched, you're selling them, then you get that one punch where you just flip the switch and you go psycho. I'm okay with that. I have an issue with like no selling like certain moves. I have an issue no selling a steel chair.
Right.
Like, so I did have an issue with for example, there was a move that Will Ospreay did do where I had an issue with. I can't remember what it was. It was a finish. He no sold and he got back up straight away. I think if you're no selling a finish, then I've got an issue with. Like I've got an issue with Hulk Hogan no selling the Tombstone Piledriver in 1991. First time. When he no-sold the Tombstone for the first time in 1991, he just got straight back up. I was pissed off when I rewatched that. The second time, at least it was on a steel chair, and he started crying, clown. I had an issue with Jacob no-selling the RKO. That's ridiculous. Even Goldberg no-selling the F5. At one point, there was one point where he no-sold an F5, and I'm like, mate, what the fuck are you doing? I don't care if you're meant to be billed as Goldberg. Like, this is like Brock Lesnar's main move. Like, Jesus Christ, it'd be like someone no-selling the GTS to CM Punk. Similar weight of him. Like, it's a legitimate way to win. It's pathetic. Or no-selling Shawn Michaels super kick.
Right.
Like, you've got to have a level of respect to those moves. But there's some things you would absolutely no sell to.
Yeah.
But if you're no selling a steel chair, what's next? You're going to no sell a kendo stick?
I mean, it would not.
I don't know.
Me. Yeah, I mean, Jacob's kind of like a Joshi.
Yeah.
If it ain't working in the ring, you know when a Joshi gets mad, like when Io Sky gets mad, or when one of the Joshi girls on AEW gets mad, they go into business for themselves for about 5 minutes. And
Asuka as well, when she starts kicking you in the face. That's
when when you're not running right, stuff like that. That's when I think when he no sells, I think that's what it is. It's like I give him a pass on it. Now, Will, on some of those, I don't give a pass on, and I've said stuff about it in the past. But I think what it is him looking down at Gorilla going, this is trash. I didn't sign up for this. You're making me look like all I need is a skirt and some lipstick and I'll be fine. You know, I'm not with this. And I think they do audible calls to the ref to say, all right, this is what we're going with here.
Yeah.
I really think Jacob Fatu is in entirely heavy parts of his control of his creative. I think he's in heavy control of his creative, whether anybody wants to admit it or not. And he'll go along with some of the bullshit writer ideas. But when it gets in the match and the fans aren't working with it, he's just like, you know what, screw this. I'm not doing this. And that's when he goes to no sell. I think that's where his no sells come in. A majority of them, when you look at the fan reaction to the match and all that, then he pops one of those no sells, and then the fans go like, oh my God, he's God again. And everything's back right. You know,
exactly. No, I agree. It's why certain talent were so ahead of the curve, because they did do it in the right way, and I think that stands out. I think Jacob does maybe like more too often, but he needs to rein in a little bit. Ospreay does it as well. I mean, there's times when he does it and it's like it's bang on the money, and it's like, yeah, I would do it right there. And there's sometimes when he does it, and you're like, I don't know, did you need it here? But it does come in that way. But it's just the manner of it. The opening match, though. Well, what did you think about the opening match to SmackDown?
Call the names again. I think I know who it is, but I think I've got the order correct here. I think it's the women's match, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that we got that failed forward. The actual for the order of SmackDown last night, just for everybody. If you want the exact order, everybody last night, I'll give it to you. But obviously, painfully, you guys will maybe need murder. I don't know. But the opening match is
the Fatal 4-Way.
It's Michin versus Chelsea
Michin versus, yeah, I was trying to ignore this match. I really was. That's what it is. I knew it was a women's match.
There's two title matches on this show, coincidentally for the men's and women's of the exact same title.
Okay, Chelsea Green and Michin, Michin. Am I doing that right? Michin.
Yeah, rematch from Saturday night's main event.
It could have been better, and it wasn't worse than I thought it was going to be with the whole. I feel personally for Piper Niven.
Me too.
I feel personally for Piper Niven, and I never felt it more than I saw last night. They had her dressed up like some whack ass kind of Secret Service in sequins. Because, all the Secret Service people want you to know who they are and what they look like so you can avoid them when you're trying to accomplish your mission. But the Secret Service and sequins didn't work for me. I hope this is a blow-off match, but from the sounds of the segment later on, we may get another one. Chelsea worked good, Michin worked good, but they both looked like they phoned it in a lot of spots. There was a lot of spots that looked phoned in, and it was like, we have to do this because Michin's simps are like really mad she didn't win, and my simps are really upset that I have to do this, so we have to do this.
I like both of them, and they're in the right position. And Chelsea can absolutely work main event, but she's perfectly suited for this championship. I hate the fact that people were clamoring for her to win it, and then they immediately turned on her. I was like, how idiotic can you be? Like, she's the right person to win it, and Mia Yim is the perfect person to be her first challenger, even though she was in the tournament final match itself. Like, they are both consistently good workers, but people are so blind to the fact. And they would just go, let's just change it early. No, Chelsea Green actually deserves a chance to make this title established. She worked hard for it. So why are people moaning so quickly? Like, fuck me.
Because Becky's hand-picked girl didn't win. They're scared.
She's not going to win Monday either.
And she's not going to win either. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, you wind up, this is no longer a creatively controlled business for WWE.
It's a loss.
It's just one of those things where they're like, okay, what did so and so say on Twitter? Let's try to make that group happy tonight. And
they're always following certain accounts. I'm not going to name them on here because I've got no time for their bullshit. But they listen to specific fans, or they look to certain accounts and they're like, these guys are on our side. Like, no, you don't want to be on their side. You want to see the talent enjoy. You want to see the talent enjoy themselves. We want to listen to genuine accounts, not Muppets that steal people's content. Listen to people that actually will enjoy your content, your product, but will still tell you where it's wrong. And where it's wrong is trying to declare that Chelsea Green should lose her first title defense.
Right, and I mean that's I don't understand the hate for Chelsea Green because I don't have any for it. I personally was very happy she got the title. I didn't particularly care how she got it. Now, on the Intercontinental side, I got problems with that title set, but, that'll be something that gets talked about at another time. But I think they really dropped the ball on the Intercontinental title. They should have Natalya going in there with it to open it up because of the lineage, the history, and I know she's won a world title, and I know that screws up the whole balance of what they wanted to do. But just for nostalgia and actual timing,
yeah, it's not a bad shout to have Natalya as the first women's Intercontinental title holder. I thought she'd be an outsider. My pick originally was either Shayna Baszler or Dakota Kai. Yeah. I had no, because I think Dakota Kai is good enough for it as well. She's redeemed herself in the best way since she's come back. She's working differently, so she deserves the opportunity. Lyra Valkyria, I'm sorry, but she's done nothing. Yeah, no. She's done nothing since she got promoted from NXT.
Yeah, she's done nothing but be Becky's hand-appointed replacement, and
she's not been good.
I know she's not good either. I don't.
Spot on, Catherine.
Yeah. Yeah, they needed to let Chelsea build the title up, but the match came out. I mean, Chelsea worked hard, Michin worked hard. I don't know if it was produced badly.
I think it was rushed.
It was definitely rushed too. It was definitely rushed. You could see them. The thing about it that killed me though was they both had that clock in their head. You could see it when they pan up for the close-ups and everything.
Yeah,
they both had that clock in their head, and I'm like, do y'all realize you look like you've got a clock going on in your head?
It's awkward as well because this is the first title match on the Smackdown Netflix era.
Right.
This is the first title defense for the US Women's title. This is the first opportunity for Chelsea Green to show why she was worthy of winning the title Saturday night's main event. And you did rush it because there was moments where they took away from what Chelsea Green can really do. And the one thing Chelsea Green does better than, I would say, 85, maybe 90% of the women on the SmackDown roster, and I don't care if anyone clips this, I don't care. Chelsea Green's actually a better seller than pretty much anybody on that roster.
Yes.
She sells better than anybody. It's why she should have won Money in the Bank for me. Credit to Tiffany Stratton for winning it and cashing it in.
Yeah, not me, but anyway.
And I've got nothing against that. But for me, Chelsea Green actually made more sense. She sold perfectly last night, and I like that she, even though she was rushed, she at least tried to give Mia Yim the credibility as a challenger.
Right.
And Mia Yim tried to give Chelsea the credibility of being the first champion. Are they going to run it back? Maybe, since I don't know. But you said you felt sorry for Piper Niven in a way. I did as well.
Yeah.
The only reason I felt sorry for Piper Niven is it's another show where she's had literally nothing to do but attack the challenger post-match.
Right.
I'm not sure what they're going to do with her going forward, but if she's just going to be the bodyguard and eventually just destroys Chelsea, I don't know, but it's a redundant program that's been happening in pro wrestling for years across multiple promotions. I don't want that to be their means to separate, but we'll see. What's up, King? Yeah, sure, yeah, you can join that if you want. I don't mind that. I don't mind if you want to join that, but as I said last night, I would scrap all current feuds and start new different feuds. This rinse and repeat is boring as fuck. The only problem you have with scrapping everything is if you go scrap everything straight away, you also kind of disrupt the program itself. I think that's the only problem. I see your method though. There's some that I would start immediately straight away. I don't disagree with that, and there's some that I would get rid of. But if you're going to scrap all the current feuds, if you do it all in one, you destroy the product. And I would say the same for AEW. I'd say the same for TNA. I'd say the same for New Japan. If you scrap all your current feuds, and you go straight to new ones, you really need to make sure you've got the timing right, because if you make one mistake, you're not going to hear the end of it. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to be very, very careful. But I don't disagree with you though. It's hard. That's not a bad show either.
And on top of all that, Do you really, honest to God, trust Triple H to book 5 or 6 brand new feuds and scrap everything that's in front of us right now? Do you really trust that?
I don't trust any booker to do that because that's
Yeah,
not
I mean,
easy. Like Vince Russo tried it. Vince Russo tried it and it didn't work. So he went back to 2. Jim Cornette tried it in multiple promotions. It didn't work.
yeah.
Dave Sapolsky done in Ring of Honor. It backfired badly. It's hard to do, and even Vince tried it. When he was the booker of WCW, Ole Anderson, he tried it and it struggled.
He struggled, but he got it. He got it to go. But I'm just saying, just in general, with Triple H, I forget about everybody else.
He would. I think he needs to stick. I think he can only do 2 at a time. I think across the landscape, across Raw and SmackDown, if you do 2 at a time, that works. But if you're cutting all the feuds, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a lot of time and investment to kick out as well straight away. That's another hard thing as well. This is not me defending them. This is me actually trying to find a devil's advocate's perspective of it.
Right. No, I agree. I agree.
You've got to be careful what you're scrapping and what you're starting at the same time.
Exactly.
No one does that well. No one does it well. It is very hard. So I would say personally, I hope he doesn't. But I hope he replaces a few. I hope he does.
But at least I think they've quelled this notion that Tiffany Stratton is going to come back as a face, because that wasn't a real face last night. That wasn't a real face promo there that she cut.
No, it wasn't. It was tweener.
Yeah,
it felt more tweener than babyface or heel.
Yeah, that I think they quelled that notion out of it. But
yeah, they did.
Chelsea Green should hold this title at least 6 to 9 months. If
I would go the whole way. I would go from December to December. I'd give her a year.
I could handle that too. But I know that the most of the WWE fans got an itch and they got to scratch it. But I mean, if it is what it is, I would like to see her hold through at least SummerSlam.
I'd be okay with that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, she needs to hold at least through SummerSlam before you start popping the title, because that's the Seth Rollins approach. Now, I don't particularly like Seth Rollins, but he made that World Heavyweight title what it was, and they took it off of him at the right time, and then everybody dropped the ball and ran with it. But, it's just the whole thing of it is they gave him time. They gave him time to let the title breathe, and he put enough defenses on it to give it legitimacy, and he gave it that workhorse title. Now, once you have established what the title is going to be, then we can start throwing it around like chicklets. But, I mean, not right out of the gate, like I just want it. We don't really know what it's going to be, but you go win it. Then you go, everybody, just get a 24/7 title back and call it a day.
It's like me. I personally don't like Cody Rhodes. There's parts of him that I don't like, and there's some parts of him that I actually do like. They're few and far between, but there's some things that I do like. That would be like me saying after he wins the title against Roman, you know what? The first pay-per-view at Backlash, take the title off him. No, like if you done that,
people were doing that. Like, who's going to beat Cody now? Who cares?
Like, I was there for one of the matches against AJ. They got the ending wrong with the I Quit match, but he was a good opponent for him. You cannot take the title of him so quickly into his, because you've just had a near 4-year title reign, and you want to take the title off, and you want to take the title off someone after a month. No, like Cody theoretically should be holding the title for 6 to 9 months. He shouldn't be getting the same length of time as Roman ever will. No one will get that length of time again. But you can't take the main championship off that guy straight into his title run. It ruins him as well as the top, as the belt top guy. It's a problem. So anybody who wants Chelsea Green to lose her title after one defense, give your head a wobble.
Yeah,
you're absolute clueless fucktard.
Exactly. That's absolute stupidity. And let's get on with some other ones, because I could literally talk about the Chelsea thing from here till doomsday, and she's actually going under some attack right now too.
She's getting so much undeserved shit. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, she's catching undeserved shit for saying something about Tessa Blanchard. And that's actually live right now. That's what's going on. It's like people are just lather, rinse, repeating, beating her to death on social media. And quite frankly, she's one of the people that actually gives back. So that's stupid. She gives back to social media. Anybody who gives back to social media, I don't care who they are, I'll defend them, because they don't have to do that. They don't have to give. They give you enough of their time on television and interviews and cons, and I got to sign this shit because my boss told me to. So anytime they get on social media, that's actually them giving back to you personally. There's no room for that. And that's anybody. Even if I don't like them, I don't trash them. I just don't say anything, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. We do get a backstage segment between all the tag teams of the division, bar one. The tag team champions. The tag team champions aren't present, but we do get the likes of we do get Los Garza, we get Pretty Deadly, we get A-Town Down Under, we get Motorcycle Machine Guns all in one. We get a variety of tag team matches booked for the show. This was very tag team orientated. This show, it was very tag team orientated. But we get Los Garza versus Pretty Deadly. I'm going to say this because I'm a big Machine Guns fan, but I'm going to say this out the dot. Los Garza versus Pretty Deadly was the better of the two tag matches. For my opinion, it was out of the two of them, it was actually the better booked tag match, but it was better booked because you actually had an established heel tag team working like a heel, whereas you had Pretty Deadly working across the board in a variety of ways. It seemed better, and also you got to see the use of Santos Escobar as a heel. Elektra Lopez got to showcase herself. My problem is, though, with this match, I kind of think it was a better booked match because you had the right order for it, but it was the wrong tag teams against each other. You get that next week, but this show should have been Los Garza versus the Guns, and it should have been Pretty Deadly versus A-Town Down Under. It was the wrong way round.
This whole thing, this entire segment,
is what I'm saying. It was the
I'm
right
getting ready to go
match.
off on the rant. I'm getting ready to go off on
do
the
it.
rant.
Do it. I'm just getting my piece. I think it was weird enough. It was the right way to do it, but it was the wrong way round.
No, it wasn't even the right. Yeah, no, it wasn't even the right way to do it. And well, I mean, I agree with you on certain parts of it, but in the back of my mind, I actually live tweeted this while I was watching the show.
Yeah.
While I was watching the show, I'm like, let me make sure I got this straight. Let me make sure I got this straight.
Yep.
Motor City Machine Guns and Old IY had a match last week to determine who was going to be the tag team champions.
Correct.
These other two teams jumped in there and fucked the whole match up, and it was actually starting to cook when they fucked the match up. And your response to that is, oh, well, there's no clear number one contender, so now we have to go get number one contenders. How about, I'm spitballing here. I'm just going to spitball. I'm just going to spitball this. How about letting those two guys actually have their damn match in a steel cage and let these other two idiots right here fight amongst themselves on who's going to be the number one contender after the steel cage match that should have been booked for Royal Rumble? That would be a good SmackDown contribution of Old IY and the Motor City Machine Guns in there. But no, because the Motor City Machine Guns lost by disqualification and never got to finish their match, they're not even contenders anymore. So now we got to roll this whole ball back up and roll it down the alley and see what strikes.
Yeah. That's the only way that doesn't really help is they've gone in that. Like I said, it's the right way of doing things. It's just the wrong setting. I would have gone a little bit further. I would have went last week you didn't have a definitive winner because obviously you had the disqualification. Right. If you're going to do it that, then why don't we just have a fatal 4-way elimination rules tag match for the titles? Make that your main event. It would have been a better main event than the main event we actually got.
And have it in a cage.
Yeah.
Have it in a cage. Just get it over with. Throw a cage up. Get all these guys in here. Lock their asses in. I tell you what, Hell in a Cell, so nobody can slide in through the top. Pause. Anyway,
That would have been fun. That would
yeah,
have been
just
fun.
have a Hell in a Cell match at this next one coming up. Golly,
The Rumble.
Royal Rumble. I've got them in my head. I'm just tired. The
You've
Royal
only got one
Rumble.
ladder match.
Yeah, just have them do a Hell in a Cell match, fatal 4-way, and the person that walks out with the titles is the champion. But the whole notion of you didn't really see that match last week. The Motor City Machine Guns really aren't the number one tag team or the number one contenders to hold that.
Yeah.
That never really happened. What we really meant to do, stop. The genie's already out of the bottle.
They're already an established tag team. They're one of the best tag teams that has ever happened. So
But
why not just
know,
keep them going? Like,
God.
I don't know. It did seem odd. I don't think they needed to do the two tag matches. Essentially, at least there was more matches. It's just it would have been a little bit different. Where I would have advocated you take the two tag matches out, and you gave combined the length of time for both matches were. You just make it a big multi-man tag team title match at this event, at the SmackDown show. It would have been very good to start SmackDown on Netflix as well.
They could have done it that way. They could have done a lot of things better.
And that is a praise. That would have been a praise.
Yeah, that would have been. I would have turned around and said, "Okay, this makes a little bit more sense." But it would actually make sense. What they did last night made absolutely no sense. It's like, and they did it twice. Now they're going to do it again. Now the LA Knight fans, they ain't going to have that. I can tell you that right now. From that Dairy Queen they had last night, the LA Knight fans ain't going to have that. The LA Knight fans are going to be vocal about it. You know, Motor City Machine Gun fans are few and far between in WWE because they've never seen real wrestling. At least most of them have. So, I mean, the reality of it is they don't have anything to draw off of. But this LA Knight thing, if they do LA Knight the same way they did that tag team match right there, it's going to go nuclear.
Where they go with him is a question, because obviously LA Knight does get his championship match against Nakamura and it is thrown out. Again, double disqualification. Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu interfere because of LA Knight's segment from last week. Obviously, Nakamura, I'm liking his new presentation. I've always been a big fan of Nakamura. I'm sick of the Nakamura mistreat that he's been given for years. I don't understand why he's always been treated so shitly. I don't believe in the narrative it's because he's Japanese and he can't cut a good promo. I think that's a load of shit, because if you actually look at Nakamura's run in WWE, he's actually good English-speaking promos. I don't believe the narrative that he can't do it. I think it's just fans are just more interested in their favourites getting further treatment. LA Knight's a good promo.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Nakamura's just more of a bigger package. I like LA Knight. I do like him, but I think Nakamura's a more complete package. The problem is, what are you going to do? The match gets thrown out when when the match was actually breathing really well.
Mm-hmm.
It gets thrown out. We get the double DQ.
So are they going to run it back like that next week? Go, well, now since you didn't do this, now we don't. So now we need 4 other. If they do that, you watch those LA Knight fans. They're gonna burn that up. They really are, and they should.
I don't know what they do. I don't know what they do next, but he's another one as well. Nakamura's first title defense.
Yeah,
and it ends in a double DQ.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, but I actually agree with this article. This is, it's Yahoo Sports to be fair, but they actually made a very good. This individual made a very good point on their article. I'm actually going to get the exact comment up. So they said on the men's side we got it. This was just following the Chelsea Green match.
Right.
So the article says on the men's side we get LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura in a reprisal of their relatively underwhelming Survivor Series clash in November. This match was far and away better than their previous championship match, was meeting and just hitting its crescendo. Keyword, ladies and gentlemen. This is an unbiased article. They've already said the Survivor Series match was underwhelming, but they say it was hitting its crescendo on SmackDown. When Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga interfered, Knight kicked them out of the building earlier in the night, so there was some legitimate kayfabe beef here. Oh wait, we can't kayfabe, careful.
Yeah,
I like what he says here. This is very interesting. For anyone who wants to know, the article was written by Anthony Sula Heffinger. So he says, and I quote following, I understand the need for the attack to protect both Knight and Nakamura, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. This match was excellent, but as good as it was, it illustrated why we need to end this program. WWE has built Nakamura into a quasi-supernatural force and should want to give him an extended dominant championship run. Narrowly escaping and getting help from outside factions doesn't help that. Fact. Nakamura is a megastar, brackets, pun intended, so he could have and should have lost clean and still been a credible threat in the Royal Rumble and an entrant in the Elimination Chamber as we barrel towards WrestleMania. There's still time for that to happen, so I won't let my opinion take away from a stellar TV match. What do you think of that? I think he's very fair.
I think it was very fair, and I think it also hints to what I believe anyway. When this whole thing shakes out, and they've got all the talent on Raw that they're going to have, and then all the talent that's going to be on SmackDown is going to be there. Once they've got all of that set up, then I am 100% convinced that without a shadow of a doubt, LA Knight is going to be a World Heavyweight Champion on SmackDown. Mm-hmm. I believe that in my heart of hearts, and I believe Nakamura, if they're smart, because I like Nakamura too. I don't like his record.
He could be his first championship contender.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I don't like how they pimped him out. I mean, his record is like 50 billion losses and like 10 wins over the last couple of 3 or 4 years. I mean, he's got like literally a handful of wins all the way across the last 2 or 3 years. I like his presentation. I like his wrestling style. I think he struggles to keep that WWE style in his head, and it shows even to this day. But that's what I like about it. I like it when people don't wrestle the hard cam style. I don't need this right in the middle of every move. I don't need that.
Yeah.
That's what makes me a Jay White fan. Jay White's never seen a hard cam he couldn't ignore, you know. And everybody else seems to say, I've never seen a hard cam that I couldn't stop for and go and call it a day. And
that's why LA Knight doesn't do it as well. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, and LA Knight doesn't do that either. This was actually, for me, a good match.
And it was the best match on the show, in my opinion, until they threw it out.
In my opinion as well, and I was pissed off when they came in and interfered with it. I saw it coming because I knew as soon as he threw Jacob Fatu out, that was going to be the interference for the match. These things I can see. Yeah. I mean, they're indicating. Okay, indicating is a good word. All right, he threw him out the building. Oh, he's going to be back, probably in the middle of your match. Yeah. You know, and it is what it is. The thing is, I do agree with Starks last night. It took him like 2-3 matches and a segment to get back to the ring. That part of it I thought was kind of suspect, but yeah. Yes. I mean, for real, I understand. But yeah, no, I mean, that was actually the best match of the night until it got messed up. And I think
there's a fun thing about it
somewhere. We missed one in there somewhere.
We've got we've still got the Motor City Machine Guns match. We've still got the Fatal 4-Way Women's match, and then we've got Cody and got Cody with Uso versus Ratatouille and Jacob Fatu. We've still got that to do as well, and that's coming. There's some decent segments. I just want to give one praise to Nakamura for one thing as well. I absolutely adore the fact that he's adapted so differently to the whole Shinobi look. I know, obviously, I'm not a particular fan of any wrestler, the way they're presented, if it seems stereotypical, but I like the way that he's still got relatively creative control on it because it's his culture. And I like the fact that he's treating it like he is a full-on Japanese warrior, and he is treating everybody like a victim. Right. Anyone that comes in front of him is a victim. I really like that consistency to him. I hope, like you said about Chelsea, I know obviously in contrast, Chelsea, it's her first reign. She should get a long run to establish it. Nakamura's in his third run. I would give Nakamura the US title I would honestly say I would give him the title until maybe Survivor Series. I would give it
Right.
all the way up till November. A mid-card
Mhm.
title run, it doesn't have to be like Gunther level of over a year and a half to 2 years, but
Right.
but they should still treat the US title a little bit more respect. Like give him a lengthy run like Logan Paul had, but Nakamura will still at least work more matches. He can
Right.
do both. He can do a lengthy run. He can get good programs, and you can give him. And I would give Nakamura a good WrestleMania opponent. I think he deserves a good WrestleMania mid-card title match. Because you can certainly do that with Nakamura. Who you would have him face at WrestleMania, though, is a very interesting question. But I would absolutely give him a Mania match that's worthy of his lengthy career. If he doesn't get that, it'd be quite crap. Could it be AJ if he returns? Maybe they have a run back. They run it back. Maybe, I don't know. But it needs to be somebody. It needs to be someone worthy to do it, not just some random. Like you can I agree that it can't be LA Knight. I think LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania would be a very interesting match. If you let that program build, I would like that at Mania.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who you're going to give to Nakamura though. That's my only thing. Is there anybody that maybe you would have him go up against at WrestleMania?
LA Knight.
No, Nakamura.
Oh, Nakamura. Well, the good news is I think that Hikuleo should be there by then.
It's a good shout.
Hikuleo should be there by then, and I'm sure they're not going to stick him on Raw yet because I don't think Jacob Fatu is going to be there by WrestleMania. I think he'll be with the Bloodline. I think he'll be on the Bloodline going to Raw. So Hikuleo will probably transition through there. That would be a good match. But as far as people that are in the building right now, I'll be honest with you. I'd like to see him work Andrade.
That would be good.
That would be an actual solid match too. And Andrade probably has a little bit more beef on him as far as wrestling chops than LA Knight. LA Knight's a good promo, but he's 4 moves of doom and that's it. He's
in the wrong. The annoying thing is he's a good worker, but he's in the wrong era. He's another one who's in the wrong era. He would have worked better if he had been around in the 90s.
Yeah.
If he was around at that age, he would be a good one. Catherine says Carmelo Hayes.
Carmelo Bow Wow. Oh my goodness.
I'm not sure, but I can see it though. It looks like he's gonna have an angle with Jimmy Uso though.
Size-wise, size-wise, I could see Carmelo Hayes in there because him and Nakamura are about the same size. Yeah, they're similar in build and size. So that's somebody he could work. AJ Styles, I wouldn't disagree with. I think AJ Styles is going to wind up being on SmackDown just out of attrition because they're going to have a couple of marquee names there, and I think he's going to be one of the marquee names.
They deserve a chance. They deserve a chance to have a better feud in WWE than they did the first time. The first feud, it looked perfect on paper, and they even though they had a trilogy of good matches, they just rushed it, unfortunately. So
yeah,
I think you can do it differently this time. It might actually hit right, and they'll feel. I think if you ask them personally, were they happy with their feud? They'll probably say yes, but they'll be disappointed by certain ways that certain matches ended. Right. And I think that's something they'll do, and I think that's every honest fan's criticism, every honest fan's praises. They actually are. They tried to overly do it, and it backfired. I think if you keep it simple between those two, they'll love it because they are great. I'm eager to see. I would love for them to run it back. Will they? I doubt it, but there's options.
I think I'm campaigning harder for Andrade, though. I think Andrade and Nakamura would tear the house down. I think if they got in there, if they just gave them, like, here's your promos, now go in the ring and do whatever you want. If they told them to do whatever they wanted to do, it'd be magic.
Would you consider Now, obviously, one person can do it from NXT because he's a heel and he doesn't work as a. I don't think he works as a babyface. So I'm going to rule out Ethan Page.
Yeah, no, he doesn't work for that.
But as a mid-card scene, ironically, Catherine's just said Ethan Page after I said him. The problem is Ethan Page, as a babyface, he's not as good as he is as a heel. He has a more he has that swagger of a heel that fits really well, and I like it. I like him as a heel. As a mid-card worker, though, would you consider Trick Williams?
No.
Definitely not.
No. I'm not a Trick Williams fan. I'm afraid when he gets to the main roster, he's going to be exposed. Mm-hmm. He's really seriously. He's a two-trick pony. He's not even a three-trick. And I think they need to keep him in protected environments because he's got the look, and he can cut a promo. He can cut a promo. But I mean, as
heel versus heel would be interesting, Catherine. Though I'm actually starting to get swayed by it.
Yeah, heel. I mean, if you were doing something like that right there, that would probably send. If Ethan Page continues on his current trajectory, I think that probably would put him over as like, if he did something like that to Shinsuke, like what he did to Bouncy Kid there, he probably, that would probably bring him nuclear heat. I think it would. I think he wouldn't be able to even get in the building, much less talk. I think that would be monster heat. Yeah.
Do you see Ethan Page as either a future world or WWE champion? Because I think he's the right fit for a main event, but I don't know if he's fit for I don't know if he's somebody you put the main title on. Like, I could see him being a multi-time US or multi-time Intercontinental champion. Yeah, and I think he would be the best feature on either show if you run it like that. Like when we spoke about Raw, like not having Braun Breaker on the card was a miss.
Yeah.
At least they didn't do that to the US title. I'm glad they didn't do that to the US title.
He could be a really good feeder, and those are, everybody talks about being a heater. I talk about being a feeder because that is a graciously under promoted and underappreciated role. A lot of people don't think about some of these champions that had their regular matches with what I call feeders, people who are hot and they get up there and they feed themselves to the champion to build and elevate the champion. I think Ethan Page could be an absolute amazing feeder. I think he would be somebody you want to feed him to Cody Rhodes. You want to feed him to Nakamura. Now, you want him to win some of the mid-card stuff.
Yes.
But as far as where I think he could possibly be on as a main event world champion, no. But he'd make a great feeder. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I think that's fair as well.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame is full of people who were feeders.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at it, a lot of them don't have major or even any world title runs. Very few have it. Yeah.
You know what's missing from WWE's current product? Maybe I'm being a bit ageist here, but it's not intentional. But they're missing someone like a Rick Martel after he quit Strikeforce.
Yeah.
When he became the body. And ironically, all ego Ethan Page could be Rick Martel's second coming. Mm-hmm. Would you agree? Would you disagree?
No, actually, I agree. That's an actual good analysis. Rick Martel. But Rick Martel was also a feeder when you look at it. They fed him.
Rick Rude as well. Rick Rude
was an excellent Rick Rude. There you go. There's a perfect example right there. They could put mid-card titles on him all day long, and then they feed him to the world champion. And he
put him over like a bastard.
Yeah, he put him over good. Then he just comes back to the bottom, builds his way back up, gets back to that mid-card title. They feed him to that champion, and he made that guy look good. I mean, Rick Rude is probably the best mid-card enhancement talent that ever did it. Yeah. Maybe Kurt Hennig. Kurt Hennig would be better, but only by a very little bit. Kurt Hennig was also another famous one. Now, he got world titles in other areas, but in the big brands, he was the feeder. WCW, they fed him. WWF, they fed him.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. We're missing a lot of really good. Everybody talks about having the next Brock Lesnar, the next this. I want the next Rick Rude. I want the next Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode was a damn good feeder.
Yes.
That's very
100%.
underestimated on that. James Storm, excellent feeder. He had a TNA title run, but they brought him up to WWE for a couple of minutes and a biscuit, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
They got, as far as I'm concerned, they got rid of one of the best feeders they could have.
Yeah.
And, you know, Chelsea Green, this is where everybody misses it with her. She's going to be a phenomenal feeder. I wouldn't put a world title on her, but I would definitely feed her to a world champion.
Yeah.
And she would put them over, and they would be grandiose and amazing. You know, that's things that we miss in wrestling that people don't think about. What made the Attitude Era work? The Attitude Era is you had 14 top stars basically in rotation. You had about 27 good feeders, and then you had about 30 good curtain jerkers. So you could blend it up, mix it up, and do all that stuff.
I don't disagree with that. Natalia is a feeder. She's a great worker. But
Yeah,
Natalia's world title runs never worked because they tried to make her too much like Brett, work the same way, but she can't do it. Now she represents the lineage respectfully in the best way.
Right.
If she was to be in the Intercontinental title scene for the women's side, I would be fine with that. She would done what she would do it like I think the same as Shayna Baszler. They buried her after she failed to win the title at WrestleMania after she won the Elimination Chamber. But she's one of the few that does work. I don't disagree with that statement. Natalia is a feeder.
Yeah, Natalia's a great feeder too. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, you can't. We miss that in wrestling, and that's what of all the things that we talked about that would make WWE better. Having a good stable of feeders, they don't have them because this new fan base doesn't understand how the business works. They
claim it so badly. They claim to so badly.
Yeah. I mean, they're like, my guy should be world champion. Well, everybody can't be world champion. There's like 14, 15 people up there, and there's only one title. Well, my guy should be that. Well, maybe your guy needs to learn.
Quite a lot of my favorites, I wouldn't even say it should be world champion. I think I would rather have them as mid-card champions or put the world champion over. But I feel them. I like Finn Balor, but I don't think of him as a world champion. I think I think of him as a feeder and a mid-card champion.
Yeah, I mean, and I have a feeling that LA Knight will eventually be a feeder, but I mean, they're going to give him a title run just based on loyalty,
merit, and merit.
Yeah, he'll get a loyalty run as world champion just to put the title on him for maybe 6 months. But once you see, LA Knight's one of those that LA Knight is Dusty Rhodes, by the way.
Yes.
I mean, now granted, Dusty Rhodes' promos were cerebral in a different way, but both of those wrestlers look really good as chasers. That's something else you need in wrestling. You need chasers. And see, the problem is when the chaser catches the title, they go cold because they're good as chasers. They're not good as champions. Dusty Rhodes was, with the exception, I say this all the time, with the exception of the World TV title, which he actually booked himself because he knew how to book. This is how we know Dusty Rhodes knows how to book better than most people. All those other runs he had were like Sullivan books or Anderson books or something like that. He always looked crappy. Yeah, I mean, he looked crappy once he got there. The getting there part was the cool part. The got there part just stunk.
This is why, respectfully, in that sense, this is why I hated when they made Hulk Hogan or Hollywood Hogan chase the world title a lot after he lost it. Hulk Hogan, if he loses a title, him chasing it actually doesn't look right. Like the only time that actually made sense when he chased it was maybe when he chased Sting the first time after Sting took the title off him, or when he chased Macho Man Randy Savage when it led to the explosion of the Mega Powers. In fact, no, when he joined, when he turned heel and joined NWA, when he said that he was taking the title from the Giant. They're the only times I think it worked when he was a chaser. Every other time, it really blew it blew the water, stinking the place out. It was crap.
Yeah, because he was the bigger guy. I mean, not just figuratively, but literally, he was the bigger guy. I mean, he was much bigger than these guys. When he came up to Andre the Giant was your big man and undefeated at that point. Well, not technically not undefeated, and that's a whole nother story by itself.
That's a conspiracy that people need to actually realize it's a false facade.
Yeah. No, there actually was one where somebody had him drop a match right before, and it fucked up his undefeated streak.
Vince protected that like it was gospel, though.
Yes, and Vince had to work overtime to bury that so he could protect it. So, I mean, I don't know. I agree with you though. Hogan did not fit the chaser part except Andre the Giant, because why are you chasing, like, I mean, even when we talk about it the other way, when Rey Mysterio had the world title, who the hell chases Rey Mysterio? I'm bigger than Rey Mysterio.
His title runs never hit me at all. His mid-card title runs worked, but his world title runs, like...
Yeah, no, they didn't.
It says a lot. It says a lot. After he won the title from Kurt Angle, they changed the name until he lost it. They changed it from the World Heavyweight Championship to the World Championship. Because Mysterio is not legitimately built as a heavyweight. He's a cruiserweight.
Yeah, I'm bigger than he is. So that's what I'm trying
to... I'm like 7 or 8 inches taller than him.
Yeah, I'm a couple inches taller than he is myself. And I'm
just going by the throat, and he would have to, like, he would be up to my height after that. But
exactly. I mean, some of it worked, some of it didn't work. That was one that I didn't think worked really well. But I mean, overall, I think that's part and parcel to what I dislike so much about the LA Knight Shinsuke. I can't talk.
Nakamura match.
The Nakamura and LA Knight match, that was one of the main things that I hated, because it really looked like, and now it looks like that LA Knight's chasing Shinsuke Nakamura and not the other way around. When they're trying to book it, see, this is the book, and this is where they screw up with the book. They don't establish it. Yes. Okay, Shinsuke with a title chasing people can be gold if they actually flesh that out and let you know. See, I'm picking up that he's the one chasing everybody, and that could be gold if you book it correctly. The bookers are like, okay, some of y'all are going to figure out what's going on, but most of y'all aren't, so we're just going to book it this way. Instead of
people being... Yeah, instead of being rewarded with a championship match, Nakamura's picking you so he can eliminate you from coming for his title.
Exactly, and they promo him well, and then they bring the other guy in as that's what's that. Thank you. I just figured out what's wrong with the match. I figured out why the match for me was a turnoff, even with that, because they're literally promoting Nakamura as a chaser. Even with the title, they're promoting, I'm coming to get you. It's supposed to be the other way around. I'm supposed to be coming to get you. You're not supposed to be coming to get me. But they promo him as I'm coming to get you, and then they match him as the other guy coming to get him. That's what's intrinsically wrong with his matches right now. That's why he's getting what he's getting, because they're not booking the match correctly. So, yeah. Thank you for that. I just figured that part out in my head. I'm like, that's what's wrong.
So it's the handpick. He's coming for you to remove you. I see what Billy says. I hope not. I just do not want to see him win the US title. I don't want to see him win any title. I'm saying this now. Carmelo Hayes does have a little bit of personality. He does seem to move in the ring. I just don't think he's that good. People said he was better than Braun Breaker in terms of who got promoted. No, Braun Breaker is still the best to get promoted from last year's draft. Like, he is special. Like, Braun Breaker's unique. Carmelo Hayes isn't unique.
Yeah, I've got 20 Carmelo Hayeses I'm getting ready to watch this weekend between the various indie shows. I don't see anything that looks like Braun Breaker. I don't see anything that moves like that.
He's cut from a different cloth.
Yeah.
He's incredible.
Yeah. And he's raised by people who actually know how to do this business. Whether I agree with how they do it is irrelevant. The fact of the matter is they know how to do this business. And he sat under that learning tree from the time he was 10 years old up until the present. So
Exactly.
hang tight for a second. I got to close my door real quick.
Absolutely.
Keep talking, though. I'm listening.
I was going to say this, though. Speaking of chasers, we then get we finally get the anticipated Tiffany Stratton segment.
Oh, God. Yeah.
First of all, Tiffany fans, I'm just saying this nicely and respectfully. Her promo didn't go the way I think she would have wanted it. But the weird thing is, it was the right words. Word for word, her entire promo is correct. It's the way it should be. It was just delivered in the way maybe she didn't want it to be. And it was ironically saved by Nia Jax. But then you overdevelop this by, first of all, you've already removed Nia Jax from the fold. Nia Jax is now not going to get her rematch. I hate that they've taken away rematch clauses. I'm sorry, but they really bloody ruined this. Nia Jax should be getting the rematch at the Royal Rumble, and she's not getting it. It's now going to someone next week who I like, but is also better as a chaser than a title champion herself. We get a fatal 4-way impromptu because of the obviously Bayley comes out. She was not good on the mic. Naomi and Bianca comes out. Bianca good on the mic. Naomi didn't really hit here either. We get a fatal 4-way impromptu match made by Nick Aldis. Cool. After Tiffany Stratton hits the moonsault, takes them all out. Tiffany Stratton just shut them all down with this moonsault. Simple as. I have a praise of this match. I've got a negative. The praise is they're already teasing to Bianca and Naomi already. They're already going to tear those two apart quickly. Thank you. That's a praise. Negative. Nia Jax was gassed after 45 seconds. Even though she needs to get her rematch, she was gassed after 45 seconds because they made her work too quickly. They did not make her work like a giant. So I feel bad for in that sense. And the other negative is Bayley won. We're getting the match next week on SmackDown.
They don't dare put that on a pay-per-view. That would be shitty. That would be horrible.
So we've got babyface champion versus babyface challenger. Surely, if this is going to work next week, Nia Jax is surely going to interfere and we get the rematch at the Rumble. But they shouldn't be determining a new number one contender until after the Royal Rumble, because Nia Jax should be just getting her rematch regardless, because she was the champion. It's a bit of a waste. The match was okay, but Nia was made to work far too quickly. Like, you can't do that to a giant. Like, that's wrong. But
I agree.
What did you think of the match regardless? Bianca for me was definitely the limelight in this one.
The wrong people were in the match. I know it's going to be an unpopular statement with some of the Bayley fans and all that. The wrong person won.
Yep.
The wrong people were in this match. I would have even had Bianca and Naomi in there. I would have had
just one.
I would have had Candice LeBoring in there just for shits and giggles. And
Jeopardy for Nia.
Yeah, and then I would have Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, same.
And you know what? Even at the end of all this, I would have really, really leaned into the first match because it was kind of a botch to me. I would have made it up to Mi Chen by having her come back out there and say, you know what, motherfuckers? This is bullshit and I deserve a title match and I'm putting myself in this thing.
That would have been good.
I think this is where I say WWE drops the ball every single time. Mi Chen lost the match. And then she could have just come out there hulked up, pissed off, and been like, you know what? This is bullshit. I deserve a title match with, like, just a one-on-one match, I'm jumping in this thing. I think I can win it.
And even though it can be annoying, I would have had, because of Fatal 4-Ways, no disqualification.
Right.
I would have had Piper come out, and I would have had Piper and screw her this time. Not just attacking her post-match. I would have had Piper screw Mia Yim.
But see, that would actually build up interest in the program they're trying to get you interested in.
And it would have actually had more to it. It would have been very, very interesting.
And we can't do that because WWE didn't come up with it. But that would have made the most sense right there. A bunch of slapnut stuff. And the funny part of it is you could have had Candice LeBoring win with a fluke win like that. And that would have been even more nuclear.
Nia would have went psycho.
That's what I'm trying to say. This is how you do segments that make sense.
It would have been good.
Yeah, and tell me when I'm telling lies. But I mean, the match is it was. Bayley's getting another title shot. The fans, like they said last night, and I totally agreed with. See, that's the problem with doing reviews this late after the show's already happened. Everybody's already said something. But the problem is they were absolutely correct. The fans categorically rejected Bayley before. But now here's the backside of that. Now plot twist. Fans summarily not only rejected Roman Reigns, but they cheered Braun Strowman when Braun Strowman was beating the hell out of him in the ring. They were like, beat the hell out of him. Not only did they summarily reject Roman Reigns, they laid into the people that were fighting Roman Reigns. Every time Roman Reigns was down, the fans would lean into it, like, beat the hell out of him. This is awesome, stuff like that. So now, not only do they crave it.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to happen for Bayley, but every time we say the fans summarily rejected somebody, just a little bitty tweak here or there, they come back in their Roman Reigns. I hope that doesn't happen because I will always summarily reject Bayley. I think she was the weakest horsewoman of all of them.
I think Billy would agree with that. Yeah. Even though he doesn't like Mercedes Moné, I think he would be a little bit more fair and agree to that one.
But I'm just saying, I mean, that it may work out. I don't know. I did not like the way the match was structured. I also didn't like the way they made Nia Jax look because, like you said, 45 seconds into the match, she was gassed because she had to work like smaller people, and it just wasn't working out. Shout out to her for losing weight, and shout out to her for carrying that title. They probably should have treated her a little bit better than they did. But then again, this is one of my criticisms. Again, Bayley. When did we? It's like they didn't tell anybody we were doing away with automatic rematch clauses.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense the way they're. If it made sense the way they're booking it, I wouldn't be arguing about it. But this was. They had so many ways and so many good things they could have done with this match to further about 5 storylines, but they just didn't do it. And now we wind up with Bayley. But that's it. I'll hush on that.
Here's a plot twist, right? And I absolutely don't like this woman, so this makes me sick to my stomach for suggesting this. Next week on SmackDown, women's title match. Would you have Charlotte Flair interfere and cost Bayley the win so she interjects herself into the picture? I don't like Charlotte, but she's a much better opponent in a title match than Bayley ever is. I think she gets too many title matches anyway, but would you do that?
If you're gonna build Tiffany Stratton, she's got to pin Charlotte. And I hate to say it that way, but the ceiling is Charlotte. The women's division goes through Charlotte, and it's going to go through Charlotte until she retires. So hating her ain't going to get rid of her. Retirement's the only thing that's going to do it. I like Charlotte in a lot of ways because I understand why she's there. And
she is overly consistent. I will grant her that. I don't like the fact that she's built on nepotism, but she's at least consistent.
But she shows up, she does her job, and she does the job when it makes sense, and she doesn't do the job when it doesn't make sense. Her wrestling makes sense even if she's the ceiling. And I get that everybody hates that she's just, and I get the Nepo baby, and I get all that stuff.
Absolutely.
But I mean, she's always there. She puts in 110%. She wrestled Rhea Ripley injured, drastically injured, and still had a very passable match. And made Rhea look good, and made Rhea look like a fucking $1 million with a blown hamstring, a torn Achilles,
and as well. I think as well, this is a controversial thing. I think Charlotte's been fit to go for months. I think she's been fit for a long time. I think the only reason why she's not came back is because Charlotte is doing what people have been begging for years. She's staying away to see how they cope without her. I think they're trying to see. The difference is that division's better. I hate her for this, but it's true. I don't like her, but the division is better when she's there than when Becky's there.
Yes, yeah, and she's doing the thing you need to do as a wrestler.
She is. She's incredibly athletic. It's quite haunting.
She's doing the thing you need to do as any wrestler, and if any wrestler happens to stumble across this is a good free piece of advice. Get yourself missed.
Massively.
Make yourself missed. I mean, look at people screaming for Alexa Bliss right now. I mean, I see like 40.
I hope she's in the Rumble.
I see 40, 50 posts a day, posting this until Alexa Bliss returns. Day number 300 and blah, 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 blah. Make yourself missed. That's the best thing you can do for the roster and the best thing you can do for yourself.
She is, Catherine, by a mile. It's because they know what she brings. It's because I think they know like what certain talent brings to the table. So like you know what Alexa Bliss is going to bring. You know what Charlotte Flair is going to bring.
Yeah.
You know what Asuka's going to bring. You know what Shayna's going to bring.
So I mean, make yourself missed. If that happened more often, I think wrestling would flow better, and we wouldn't have any negative points. We'd just be talking about the good things that happen because there wouldn't be that much negative to say. The problem is you got like all these people in your face all the time. The bloodline needs to be missed. Like there needs to be some kind of catastrophic finish to a match that not only devastates the bloodline, but does it so bad that they're out for 300 days.
Oh yeah, Alexa Bliss is miles better than Liv Morgan. Everyone's better than Liv Morgan.
Yeah, Liv Morgan is a Temu Alexa to begin with, and I stand.
Liv Morgan's just an absolute disgrace.
I mean, she's a Hooters waitress that should be working at Hooters.
Correct.
Right now, she's a Hooters waitress that should still have her current day job, and she doesn't. So,
or for you guys working at Walmart.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, make yourself missed. One thing Charlotte has done here so far is she has missed. Alexa missed. Becky, stay away. Anyway, you need to be gone a couple more months before I miss you. Actually, the rest of your career. You need to be gone the rest of your career, and I'll miss you. Right about the Hall. No, you don't even need to be in the Hall of Fame. I would like to miss you for 20 years before they put you in the Hall of Fame.
I think they need to. I think they do need Charlotte on SmackDown. I think they do need a few others on SmackDown. I think they need someone like another veteran, like a Mickie James. I think they need Shayna Baszler cemented on SmackDown. I think they need Alexa Bliss on SmackDown as well. And I think if she ever returns to the ring, I think AJ Lee should be SmackDown, not Raw.
That another thing that the podcasters have all missed about last night's show. You just said that, and that reminded me of something.
It's what I do best.
Having Kenny Dykstra getting his ass beat in that segment with Nick Aldis looking like the hero was some bastard work. That was some bastard work on Nick Aldis's part. Because you know the story, right?
Oh yeah, Dykstra, Mickie James, and also
that was some dastardly bastard work to do in that segment. They're like,
even funnier. You would be even funnier It would have been even funnier during that segment when Dykstra gets beat if you got either a Mickey James chant or a John Cena chant.
That would have been. Well, see, the fans didn't know. The fans in the building, they're too young. A lot of fans are too young to even know that even happened. A lot of these fans don't even know who the Spirit Squad was.
Exactly. Look, I
They
mean, I was
know Nick
unfortunate to
Nemeth.
live through it. I was unfortunate to live through it, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of them don't even know who the Spirit Squad was. And the first thought that went through my mind when Dykstra was getting his ass handed to him and Aldis was over there looking like a hero, I'm like, you dirty bastard. You put him on television, bitched him out, and then became the hero. That was, oh my God, that was bastardly work. That really was. That was real bastardly work.
It's genius. It is genius from them on that part. It is genius. Will we see a follow-up? We'll certainly find out. I'm not sure.
I don't think Dykstra can go anymore.
Me neither. I
don't think he can go. I don't think he could go in the first place. But
he's not too old. The problem is they stuck him so much to comical, and then when they tried to make him serious, it backfired. And it's a shame because he actually did have at one point have a lot of potential. Nick Nemeth was absolutely the star of the Spirit Squad. Anyway.
Oh God, yes. It wasn't even close.
And it sums up right now when he's won a world title or he's won a major title in every promotion he's been in. It makes sense because the guy is incredible. Main event obviously does feature the built main guy. It is a tag title that ends in a. I'm actually eager. I will say this though, and I hope they do this. They need to follow this up big time next week. But the match does end with Cody obviously abandoning Jim Uso. And it ends in a handicap win for the Bloodline. Well, the new Bloodline. What I have to say this, next week on SmackDown, if they don't have a follow-up, they've lost out because you've already presented the angle. You've already said Roman's going into the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes closing the show as they did at the start of the show, brawling. Good. You know what? To be fair, good continuity. I will praise that. Continuity is key. At least they've done that. But if you have your main champion abandoning his tag partner to go up again to fight his pay-per-view opponent, the heels get a clean win, and you don't have Jimmy and his lot confronting Cody next week on SmackDown, you are fucked in the head. There's got to be a confrontation.
There won't, because they'll probably spin it like I had in the back of my mind going into this match, because you had a segment up front, because you had Cody Rhodes getting distracted in the beginning of the show, even though, and literally, I don't know. I mean, the way Paul Heyman sold that thing before the brawl broke out, I kind of don't know. Now I kind of don't know, and I've asked a couple of questions. I don't have the answer to this yet, as to whether or not Kevin and Cody have like legit backstage heat.
I don't think it is legit. I don't think they have legit backstage heat. I think they're presenting it as just a full-on just hatred because he's doing what he shouldn't have done and he's siding with Owen's enemy, well, built enemy for the past 5 years. I do see what you mean, though. I don't think they do have legit backstage heat, though, but if they did, that would be crazy.
No, because Paul Heyman mouthed the words to him, "We need to finish this segment," before he jumped out of the ring and ran after him.
That's true. I may have missed that bit. I don't know if I saw that bit. I may have missed that.
Yeah, the devil's in the details. Paul Heyman mouthed a whole lot of words to him, but one of the things that I made out watching the show was like, "No, we need to finish this segment," and Cody still just jumped right out the ring.
I did see him mouthing something, but I mean, I'm normally quite good at lip read, but I didn't pick up that bit. But if that actually has occurred, then Jesus Christ. But yeah. I'm sure they're just trying to build more towards the Rumble. But if it is legit, though, to what you're saying, and it does come at some point as factual, because we know there's people out there who still get a story for conning for conning their subscribers, and that's a variety of people. But that'd be interesting, you know. It would be. I'm not sure if there is backstage heat, but they're definitely blood boiling.
Right.
They're making it seem that much.
the way I saw this match coming together at the end of the night was you take that promo, you take what Cody's doing. At the end of the night, I saw it coming together as I was expecting them to win and Jimmy to turn on him right there. That would have been the correct finish for that match. But I see why they didn't do it too. We were talking about being gassed. Jimmy was gassed in that match 3 minutes in. I was literally texting somebody going, Jimmy's gassed.
He's not in good shape right now. Like, he doesn't look capable yet. Yeah,
and that was the part of it. He got left in the ring like that, broken foot and everything. Like I still said, I think they should put him in a boot and let him work in a boot so that would actually get him a little bit of sympathy. But overall, the match ending was anytime Tama Tonga is made to look even marginally strong, I hate the match automatically because this kid is not there. He's not it. I don't care. The Gorillas of Destiny are not the ones. They're not it. They're not going to make this work. They did, at best, they did mid-card work in New Japan. At best, you can call that mid-card work. They can't close a strong segment like this. Then again, WWE can't book a strong segment. So it kind of works out. But the end of this match was garbage. I think that they left a lot on the table. They left a lot of story that could have been told, and they just didn't tell it. And they had all the time in the world to tell it. They actually gave themselves enough time. And like I said, this is another one of those cases where the ball bounces higher than the Empire State Building. They dropped it. Yeah. So, but that's my take on it. I think overall, Jacob did Jacob things, which I'm very happy for him to just keep working his style. Overall, I'm happy Jacob stands up for himself in the ring because he needs to, because they're pimping him out. Tama Tonga could have been like MIA on this thing. I wouldn't have missed him at all. But yeah, I mean the running out chasing Kevin Cartman has just got to stop. Kevin's got to stop doing this because he's going to burn the thing out before they get there. Once again, make yourself missed. There's nothing wrong with missing a show, even if you are doing 4-week builds. You need time for something to breathe, and you need to get the foil in place, which we still don't have. If Cody Rhodes wins this match, there's nobody stepping up. He's done. Till Roman.
Yeah. I don't see. This is what I said to you earlier on. This is what I don't get. If Kevin Owens does lose at the Royal Rumble, which is very likely that he's going to lose, where exactly does he go from there? Because I'm sorry, you can't. You can't take him seriously again as a world title contender, even if he's a feeder or not. You cannot keep feeding him to the champion because he's just going to keep losing. It will get way out of control, especially if you're building him to be a top heel. Again, it would seem far too drastic and too unhealthy for the roster that you've got, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, just to the way they're booking this stuff right now, it's almost like they've got a dartboard, and they post names up on the dartboard, and they just start throwing darts at it. That looks like a good match. Let's put that together, Or they're spinning the wheel, like whatever name pops up. There, let's put that in the match. It feels too random. There are stories that exist that they forgot. And there's stuff that, like I said, with the women's thing, that's how I would have booked it. They just, I guess we're going to get Chelsea and Mei-Ching again in Saturday night's main event. And that ain't it either. I don't know if they're trying to cool off some of this stuff or if they're just showing general ineptitude for a reason. And the podcasters that aren't helping this situation are behind it going, well, some of these are going to just be average shows.
You don't want it to be average. You don't want any wrestling show to be average. You want all of them to be great.
Right, let me make sure I'm wrapping my mind around this. In America, this is kind of a big deal. I'm guessing it probably is in Scotland too. Um, I'm sitting in the nosebleeds at 250 a pop. I got a pigeon shitting on me. They got stuck in the building from 3 events ago, and you're telling me it's okay for it to be average?
Mm.
That's the whole thing of if they were charging $30 or $40 a seat, this conversation wouldn't even be happening. But the fact of the matter is their nosebleeds are going for between $150 and $300, which means literally there are people sitting in the Raptors getting shit on by birds that got stuck there from previous events, and you're telling me that it's okay to have an average night. It is never okay for that kind of money.
Doesn't wash for me either. I mean, I look at him. I still say the same. Like there's about when you look at WWE from 2019 to 2021, same circumstance. TNA from TNA 2016 to 2018, maybe 2019, same problems. WCW 2000, 2001, awful. NWA currently, but even classic NWA was that good in the 80s that their worst year for me was 1983 and 1984, before Starrcade. Before the first Starrcade, they were weak as fuck.
Yeah, they were. The regional thing wasn't working out, and you got to figure out too. A lot of that was socioeconomic.
AEW as well. Like they've had a lot of weak moments as well.
Yeah, they've got some weak ones out there,
and that can all change. But everything can change when you just put effort in, and the talent. The weird thing is people blame the talent. It's not the talent's fault. The talent are actually working hard. It's can you contain sustainable? Can you make and sustain and contain strong back to back segments, matches, and also shows / pay-per-views on a consistent basis? That's what makes pro wrestling healthy. If you can't do that, then your product isn't worth shit.
And you need to have at least. Dusty Rhodes was really poignant about this, and I never have forgotten. He did an interview, which was a very rare thing. Like he did an outside the business interview, and one of the things he talked about 3 things. Number 1, the talent. Number 2,
always
the business, and number 3, where's the money?
Yeah,
those 3 things to him. So I see a lot of the talent part of it. I don't see a lot of building there for most of this. I don't see the money. Unless and the problem with that is WWE, more than 50%, because that's what it's got to be. I don't want to say all because I don't want to group everybody. I know some good WWE fans.
So do I.
But about half of that fan base is ruining it for the other half by just being so stupidly vocal. That's who they're booking to, and they're not really booking to the other side. And they're like, well, we don't get many. We get the casual fans on stuff. No, you don't. They didn't get the casual fans. They had 2.475 million views night 1 worldwide.
Exactly.
Instead of, and it was really interesting to note, they had 2.6 million on their move to Raw. When they had their first Monday Night Raw, their move to USA, they had 2.6 million viewers US that night. Overall, worldwide, they had 2.3 million sets connected. Now, the +1 will give you 4.9 million. But overall, worldwide, for the biggest premiere, which it was.
It was, yeah.
It was the biggest premiere in WWE history. This was their moment to shine. But then they turned around on SmackDown and they had a chance. They bent it over a table and ragdolled it. That's the best way you could say it.
Yeah.
With no lube. So I mean, it was
I agree.
just it was they had an opportunity to do so much with this show. The way it laid out, the way the talent laid out. I was interested in watching the show. I just didn't want to do a watch along because I had a feeling after I did that Raw watch along that there was going to be a lot of main roster fuckery in this, and there was. And it wasn't going to make any sense, and it didn't. And they were going to come up with some stupid shit, and they did.
This is the same issues. Ironically, in different ways of wording, what we've just said word for word is similar to our criticisms that we had for Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
We had the same level of criticisms. But people will think that we're absolutely bashing WWE, but we're not. If you actually go back and watch the Dynamite review in a different way.
There was lots of things in Dynamite they could have done better. You know?
But it doesn't. But I'm hoping it's a learning curve for both sides.
Yeah.
It's a change, because one thing I said at the start of the year, the one thing I want to see is I want to see this year be one of the best years for wrestling from a different perspective, not financial. I want to see it from strength of products across the globe. And I want to enjoy it as much, more than I did last year.
Mm-hmm. I think the big three, actually, I'm going to go with, I can't put New Japan in this category because they seem to get it. But I think the other big three, your TNA, AEW, and WWE, are all tone deaf to stream. They're booking this. They're booking all three of these people are booking to linear television, and they need to. They're producing and booking to linear television, and I don't think any of this works. When it comes to streaming, the average streamer spends at most 20 minutes in a sitting.
Exactly.
That means you got to get all of that in 20 minutes. You got to get all your, basically, to sound like a wrestler, you got 20 minutes, you got to get your shit in. A wrestler would say, well, I had to get my shit in. Okay. You got roughly 20 minutes tops. You got to get your shit in. And I don't think any promotion except for New Japan. New Japan is actually, the way they did their matches. I mean, I was tired as hell, but I didn't mind it at 8 o'clock in the morning with Wrestle Kingdom and basically 5 o'clock in the morning with Wrestle Dynasty. I didn't mind. It was
the first to go streaming. The first to go streaming was TNA.
Mm-hmm. And TNA,
then New Japan.
They're still not booking, but TNA is still not booking to the streamer. They're booking it like it's linear television.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anybody would disagree with me. I think that's the.
I don't disagree. I fully agree with you.
I think they need to stick with. I think they need to learn. I think they probably need to sit down and watch a bunch of YouTube videos, see how they're produced, and start building their product towards that. That's. I had a discussion with somebody, and they belong to a big organization, and I said this exact same thing to them when we were having a thing that's not an interview. I didn't have an interview. When they said, what would you do? I said, you need to start booking this thing to the platform that you're playing it on. If you're going to be on television, we can book it to television. But television viewers and stream viewers are completely different animals. And if you want to keep them hooked, you've got to book every segment as if you were booking a TikTok video. Yeah.
It's got to be all in or nothing, and it's got to be content exclusive. But that's exactly what I'm thinking. Guys, that has been your TV. Well, that has been your reviews across the board. If you are one to be amongst the channel going for more streams coming up, get involved with it, because, like I say, I've got content on the daily that's coming. So we've got more to it. Like I said, my benevolent co-host will be joining me again shortly, so I'll be looking forward to see what she's thinking of WWE since they've gone to Netflix. Interested to see what she says about AEW and Max. We're going to get all of that, so stay tuned for them. Catherine, it'd be good to see you on the show, on the channel next week. Keaton, you're absolutely welcome for the Rumble preview. Billy, if you want to join us at some point, you can. Matthew, you as well for the content. But me, all I'm going to say is thanks all that's watched. Check out Graps TV, and we will see you next one. Bye, guys. Stay safe.
Take care. Take care. Yeah, take care, everybody. Peace.